gonna be doing more current events since see what's going on in the world right now. Oh, forgot my earbuds. Oh well, forgot my hat. Oh well.
Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hot Mike, channel solely
One
focused
of
on
them
exposing
unhinged
the
ones,
abundant
yeah.
hypocrisy of the left. And here's the meme of the day, brought to you by FiveMon.com. I
Clean
just
that
stumbled
up.
upon what might be one of the most important videos of the year. You know, it's one thing when native Westerners say these types of things, but I think it's a whole lot different when it's coming from an immigrant. I got this little snippet of a speech given by Catherine Burbalson.
Yeah,
She's the daughter of an
realize
Indo-Guyanese academic and Jamaican nurse who's, I believe, now residing and working in education in England. And she, I gotta tell ya, is the counterforce that we need. And I'd even go further. I mean, this is the mindset that is needed if immigration is ever going to work. She cuts straight through the bullshit, straight to the issue, and lays out exactly, frankly, what migrants need to hear. And not only need to hear, but need to fully internalize and accept as the truth. If immigration and assimilation is ever going to work in the Western world, cutting straight to the core of the issue, this anti-Western propaganda garbage that's being pushed in the academic system from K through 12 all the way to university, this toxic, counterintuitive mindset that far leftists are pushing onto newcomers and the new migrants coming into the Western world, this third world, anti-American slop propaganda that seems to define the migrant political coalition, let's call it. These are the truths that we must widely acknowledge. The ideas expressed in this clip that I'm about to show you guys, frankly, in my view, should be a prerequisite for anybody coming to the West. Without this basic, fact-based perspective being drilled in, immigration simply will never work, will never enrich the host country. No, quite to the contrary, it will slowly destroy it from within. Let's go ahead and tackle the third world slop propaganda, shall we? We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. All right, folks, so again, you know, it's one thing to hear it from me. You're a white man! Of course, we know being a white male instantly invalidates all of my opinions, so don't take it from me. Take it from Catherine Burbalson.
Ask any young person what history they learned at school, and they'll tell you. Hitler. Ask them what else. Slavery. Ask them what else. American civil rights. In fact, what little they know of history will be all about black and brown people fighting for equality against the white man. Women fighting men for the vote. Gay and trans people fighting for various rights. Our young people have been taught that history is simply one long story about various groups struggling under the oppressive dead white man. Out with Dickens, Shakespeare, Kipling, and Wordsworth. We must decolonize. History is taught through an oppressor lens. The triangular slave trade, white men held the power.
How about that?
What about Britain ending the slave trade? More than a quick mention, if at all? No. What of the Arab slave trade that lasted 3 times as long as the triangular slave trade? No. Okay, so GCSE history in Britain is often taught as migration through time. So the idea that Britain has always been a land of immigrants is embedded in our children's heads. Most schools would prefer to concentrate learning about the tiny number of black people who existed in Tudor England over a thorough analysis of England's break from Rome. Medieval history becomes her story and is told through the eyes of Eleanor of Aquitaine.
All right, I gotta use the bathroom. I'll be back. Sorry about that. Use the bathroom.
Because after all, she was a woman. Not to mention weeks on King Mansa Musa of Mali because he was a black Muslim. His bearing on British institutions, laws, and faith is non-existent. And the fact that he is said to have been the richest man in history, thanks in part to his massive slave-owning society, is a detail somehow that teachers rarely ever teach. But it isn't just our schools, it's our general culture too. Take your kids to a museum or an art gallery in any Western country, and you'll find the same narrative. When learning about aviation in London's Science Museum and the extraordinary feat that is man making massive machines move in the sky, a write-up on the wall explains that women and black people were historically barred from aviation schools and the military. Similarly, James Watt, the man who invented the steam engine and is considered the
these bitches that live in the past will never be happy because they can't move forward. They're stuck in an era that doesn't exist in America no more. There are more slaves now than any time in history. But you won't be hearing these motherfuckers say anything about that. I wonder why. They won't say shit about the Irish slave trade, which I'm Irish. They won't say shit about that. Can't talk about that. Can't talk about how my own people sold me up the River Styx, along with the black people. The black people sold their own black people up the River Styx to make some money. I love how history is so fucked up. And these motherfuckers, they're living in the past. And if you don't want to be, if you hate America so much, then get out.
Of the Industrial Revolution has a write-up on the wall explaining that his early career involved slave trafficking with a bonus analysis of the whole of Britain's complicity in the slave trade. They flatten the entire human story and all of its complexities into the narrative of oppressor and oppressed, leaving young people unable to see the world in any other terms.
Yeah, because they're being lied to.
Frickin' spot on. And really what's on my mind here, what I can't wrap my head around is just how totally and utterly counterintuitive it all is. You know, this leftist, revisionist, ahistorical, guilt trip grift crap that's being pushed on to the masses. We import people from the third world, from developing nations, Western countries being the light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
And we take these people, and especially the next generation, and the education system just shoves a steady diet of self-hatred and anti-Western garbage. Day by day, they're fed this toxic ideology. And, you know, I'm sitting here thinking, which one is it? Your family packed up.
When the Rothschilds created the schooling system, because we only need 3 things. Reading, writing, arithmetic, basic math. 4 things. Basic math. We could learn all that by the time we're 5 years old. Really. But they made the schooling system to indoctrinate us. They're like, what the fuck are we supposed to teach them for 8 hours a day? You know what they said? Teach them everything about nothing. That's why these motherfucking kids are stupid as fuck.
Up everything left for the greener pastures of America or any Western nation, specifically because it's that shiny beacon on top of the hill. It's the place where you have self-determination, economic opportunity, prosperity, freedom, equal rights, human rights. Blood was shed to create that idealistic vision. And then we teach these kids that actually it's backwards and America is this deeply evil, predatory place, this capitalistic regime built on the backs of foreigners, that actually the place that you come from, that's the utopia, or the reason it isn't is actually because of American capitalism.
Yeah,
but the reality of the story is the exact opposite. That the ideological revolution that happened in America is the reason why the standard of living is going up across the globe, yet these kids are taught the opposite. Folks, if we can't teach real history, if we can't create a culture, especially for migrants, to appreciate the opportunity that they were given, to be granted access to the Western world, it will never, ever work, ever. You know, you think about it, if every immigrant thought like this woman, Catherine Burblesing, society would probably be nice. But instead we're seeing the rise of anti-Western ideology. And it's being spread at an alarming rate. It's completely backwards and ahistorical. It's an inversion of history. Imagine what our society could look like if we actually taught real history instead of this guilt-tripping inversion. If immigrants came here and actually learned to appreciate what America is, understood the foundational beliefs and the real history. Imagine if they assimilated into the culture instead of trying to recreate the same failed environment that they fled. Because that's what we're seeing now, right? Import the third world, become the third world. There's no more standards, no expectation of assimilation. Just move to Minnesota and create Lil Mogadishu. And that's of course exactly what we're getting. Large groups arriving in mass, not to become Americans, but rather to carve out their own little separate enclaves inside the homeland. That's not bringing us together. That's not diversity as our strength. That's bringing Native Americans to their breaking point.
Minnesotans are so afraid that you're going to call us a racist. You're going to call us an Islamophobe. You're going to call us some name that we just don't want to get into that fight. You know what? I would argue that I never did care, but I'm done being careful. even the least bit. And I don't really care where you come from. But if you come to this great country, you have to understand you're coming here to be an American. We celebrate everyone's culture. We're happy with that, as long as you are an American.
Yeah.
Celebrate your culture. I don't care. Italian, Polish,
I'm Irish.
Somali.
I celebrate my culture,
Okay?
but
they
I'm an American.
Don't assimilate. And if they don't assimilate, then they should go the hell back to where they came from.
And it's not surprising why people feel that sentiment. I feel that sentiment each and every single day. Our unified, high-trust society is collapsing before our very eyes, and instead we're becoming fragmented, tribal. People are fed up, and at this point, the new standard is simple. If you want to come to the West, become Western. If you want to come to America, become an American. Assimilate. Show some damn appreciation for the nation that took you in and gave you everything, that removed you from the hellhole from which you came in many of these cases. Show some frickin' appreciation for it, or leave. Get out. And many people would describe that as evil, hateful, so judgmental, white cis patriarchy. In action.
I don't care.
That, my friends, is the most basic of standards.
Don't care no
but instead
more.
we take the leftist approach of absolutely no frickin' standards, and we wonder why things are going so frickin' poorly. Anyways, that's what I got.
Next up.
What's your ROI worries? Spend smarter. Snapchat ads.
No. No.
This happened at a shopping centre in Antwerp, Belgium.
Een drukke zaterdagmiddag in het
This is
weinige
Saturday afternoon at
shoppingcenter
Williams
in
Shopping Center.
Antwerpen.
Everything seems normal until a
tot een
shop
winkelbediende
assistant
komt aangespeeld.
comes running up. She's
Ze
chasing a few
achtervolgt enkele
suspects.
vermoedelijke winkeldieven.
Shoplifter. Suddenly she takes a
Plots
hard
komt
left
ze zwart ten
and
val en ze moet haar
she
achtervolging
has to give
staken.
up her pursuit.
Turns out she only had to give up her pursuit for a very specific reason.
De vermoedelijke
The
winkeldieven gaan
suspect
erg
shoplifters are
slecht te werk.
acting
Kijkt u
very
mee.
cunning. Take a look.
Om 20 over 3
At 20
wandelen
past
3
3,
vrouwen met
walk
steeggepas
briskly
door de
down
gang
the
van het
corridor.
Weinigem shoppingcenter.
Shopfitter is one of the
De
first
eerste
wearing
vrouw draagt een
black
zwarte jas en heeft
coat
zwarte
and wearing
dreadlocks.
dreadlocks.
De tweede
Of
vrouw
course.
draagt een opvallende hoofddoek met bloemen.
Her
En de
handscarf
derde
and the
vrouw
third woman
draagt
is
een
wearing a
donkere
dark
hoofddoek en heeft een
pink
witte
carry a
winkeltas
white
bij.
shopping
But
bag.
wait, something else happened here which is even more revealing.
Probeert hen in te
She
halen
tries
en
to catch
passeert
up
de
with
jonge
them
man.
and passing by a
Die
young
ziet haar,
man.
gaat meteen achter haar aan en steekt dan zijn been uit, zodat de
So
winkelbediende
trips and
struikelt
falls
en op de grond smakt.
A fall that ended up costing her a broken shoulder, a broken knee, and kept her out of work for months.
Meteen na de valpartij loopt de jongeman naar zijn slachtoffer. Hij
He
draait
circles
eerst
around
op
the
een
pole
paal,
so that
zodat
it
het lijkt alsof hij
looks
van een
like
andere
he's
kant
coming from a
komt.
different
Dan
direction. Suddenly
verschijnt
appears
hij
in
plots
front of
voor
her
haar en helpt haar zelfs
and
weer
helps
recht.
her
All
back up.
4 suspects have so far evaded arrest. Belgian
Fuck
media
that
and
shit,
police
man.
speculated that perhaps he was trying to help his accomplices escape that way. Really?
No
And why
shit.
does he stay at the scene afterwards? Seems just as likely that he cottoned on to the fact that the saleswoman was pursuing the criminals and just had an instinctive reaction to help the criminals by tripping her up. Either that or he just
Charge
tripped
that
her up for the
motherfucker
hell
with
of it.
attempted murder. Charge that motherfucker with attempted murder. Fuck that shit. Charge that bitch with attempted murder. Fuck
Yeah,
him.
we used to live in a high-trust society, where if members of the public saw criminals trying to flee, they would at worst do nothing, or at best try to intervene to help the people trying to catch them. But a lot
See,
has
I'm
changed
security.
since then,
I
hasn't it?
can't
60%
just idly
of
sit by
Antwerp's
and let
population
motherfuckers
has an
do
immigrant
stupid
background,
shit.
with that figure jumping to over 70% when you look at the youth population.
I can't
The
in
former
good
mayor of
conscience
Antwerp and now
sleep
Prime
at night
Minister of
if I
Belgium
witness some shit
previously
like
blamed the
this
country's
and do nothing.
immigration policy
How do
for
these
being
fucking
the
people
source
sleep?
of all misery. Adding, we are recording more and more violence or thuggish behaviour against anyone who represents authority. They are almost always young people of immigrant origin, mostly
I hate these
non-European, who
fucking
grow up in our cities without much perspective. Or it seems any kind of grasp of how quickly society deteriorates when aiding and abetting criminals
like this,
manifests
Jason.
itself as an innate reflex reaction.
Alright,
Mental stuff is the
Is
hardest
this-
part of running a small
this is
business.
moist,
Relay
right?
simplifies everything. The backbone of my business for sure.
yeah, moisty.
I've been keeping up quite closely with everything going on in the gaming space over the last couple weeks. obviously. I've been
Gaming
yapping about it
space,
a lot. I
huh?
can't stop blabbering about it, really, because it has just been awful news out the wazoo every single day. It's a septic tank explosion that I can't look away from. And while I sit here just wide-eyed like someone who just saw boobies for the first time, I'm now also seeing things like adjacent to the AAA gaming
I got
space
Gatorade.
falling victim to the orb of confusion.
And I'll put
D-Brand,
this in
an
it.
extremely popular company that specializes
pretty
in
good.
like customizable cases and skins for devices, has now just made a bafflingly awful admittance here about their highly anticipated companion cube product, which was supposed to be a case for the Steam machine.
Uh-oh.
Well, it turns out they never even had permission to make that. They never had a license. They even spent thousands upon thousands of clams to put this in front of everyone's peepers. They sponsored Linus Tech Tips here in this video as an integration for him to show this off and
How did
promote
they
the
make that
companion cube for
mistake?
D-Brand.
What?
But meanwhile, they never even had a license for it. So they went straight to like marketing it, doing a huge marketing spend, thousands of doubloons to develop it, obviously, thousands of hours to make it as well to manufacture it, but they skipped step one of getting a license, getting permission to do it. How is that possible? That is brain dead. Now, I'm not the biggest consumer of this kind of product. I don't buy customized skins and protective devices or anything like that, but I am familiar with D-Brand. They are a huge corporation. They're a big company. I'm most familiar with them because of everything that happened with them versus Casetify with the plagiarism stuff. That was some fucking wacky shit. I don't know if Casetify still exists. I don't know how they could after how embarrassingly cringe that was back then. But that's like the main thing I remember about D-Brand. I don't really keep up with their products. But after seeing this, I decided to look into it to see if they normally get like permission and stuff. And while I can't see if they always do, it seems like they love to tiptoe on the line of legality. Like even back in, I think it was 2021, they had a legal spat with Sony about their dark faceplates D-Brand was doing, where they even egged on Sony to sue them, and Sony eventually did cease and desist them, from what I can tell, and they stopped. So Sony said, all right, bet, and big dogged them. And it seems like that's part of D-Brand's image, is that they're kind of like the bad boys, and this is, I guess, just another marketing tactic from them to get their name out there, like, oh, we're getting sued by these companies, which I guess it's effective. It does get the brand's name out there, and they are very successful. I don't really get the point, though, to be honest, like, especially in the case with Companion Cube, because they spent so much money doing this and never had the license or permission. And no one can really rally behind that and support them, like, you know, pumping their fist for the little guy against Valve that's trying to bully them unjustly. Like, they even openly admit, yeah, we just never asked. We just never got permission. Like, how do you, like, you can't defend that. You can't, like, be on D-Brand's side. All you did was waste not only all your time and resources and the time of your employees, but you also wasted the time of all the people that put in the pre-order and shit. Now, it does seem all of them are getting a refund, so that's great.
Oh, with the
But, like,
one.
what the fuck was the point in this whole charade, this hootenanny? I find it hard to believe that they just didn't think to get a license or ask for permission. But anyway, let's take a look at their statement. As you've probably noticed, the Steam Machine Companion Cube was eviscerated from our website, YouTube, and other social media platforms last week. The blunt version is that we made the Companion Cube without a license from Valve. Everyone who purchased the Companion Cube will have their refund issued by end of day. Everything else beyond this is just detail. If you want the full story, keep reading. I want the full scoop, please. On November 12, 2025, the day the Steam Machine was announced, we put up a concept render and sign-up page to see if anyone would be interested in a Companion Cube enclosure. It went moderately viral, with over 15,000 people signing up to be notified in the first day. In the months that followed, we built the idea into something real without ever asking Valve if we could. Why, though? Like, why would you do that? So, like, it's fine to put up, like, that render and get interest. Hey, how would you guys feel if we did pursue this? But then why wouldn't the next step be like, oh, okay, there's clear demand here. You guys are hungry. You got some grumbly bellies, and you need a Companion Cube in their gullet, don't you? Okay, we'll ask Valve if we can. Like, well, I don't know how, being a business of D-Brand's size, that wouldn't cross your mind. I believe that they did this knowing full well that they were playing with fire, and that if they did get shut down, it would only be good for them, as, like, no publicity is bad publicity, and that this would be something people would be supportive of. Like, hey, D-Brand fought the good fight, it didn't work out, but we're real D-Brand diehard loyalists now, because they really went for it with the Companion Cube. I'm not even seeing that response from fucking anyone, even the biggest fans of D-Brand. Everyone's calling this stupid because it doesn't even make sense. Like, it is actually going out of your way to be an imbecile to not ask the company whom you're using their IP if you can do that. Like, you need to get the license. Like, that's the most basic shit ever. Everyone knows. We're going to regret that decision for a very long time. Over the next 7 months, we poured our souls into this project. More than 1,000 hours went into engineering from our industrial design team. 44 sets of injection molding tools were developed, one for each of the cube subcomponents. The entire product was redesigned from scratch more than once just to get the way it cradles the console exactly right. We literally rented out a university campus to film the launch video. By the end, we were losing money on every $99 poverty cube sold, but it didn't matter. This had turned into a passion project for the entire organization. So you went through all of this and never once thought, maybe we should ask. Maybe we should at least be safe and see if Valve's going to be okay with it. Let's try and get a license here. Somehow you BLJ, backward long jump, through the first step here, completely forgetting to ask about the license, and now you're trying to film a launch video, renting out a university campus for it, probably fucking directed by Christopher Nolan or something, and still, no one pipes up and says, guys, like, should we ask permission to do this? Like, we still never got the thumbs up from Valve, the green light. What are your thoughts? Thoughts?
They're pressing. They're pressing. Oh my Gemini!
When it comes to what's in your bag, size matters. The original bag. Choose from
what's
full-size
in your
favorites
bag?
starting at
Size
just
matters.
$5.99. Only at Hardee's. Because hard work deserves more than a teeny bag and
Jealous.
Thoughts? Unfortunately, being proud of the thing we made did not give us the right to make it. We launched around 3 a.m. on Monday, June 22nd. Overnight, it became the second fastest selling product in our 15-year history, behind only the Switch 2 Kill Switch. Shortly after Valve's legal team reached out, they stated that the companion cube is Valve intellectual property, for which D-Brand does not have a license. They requested we take down the product and launch them immediately. This was entirely within their rights, and they were direct, fair, and respectful throughout. We took everything down and made an appeal. We asked Valve whether there was any way to keep the project alive, properly licensed, with their blessing, on their terms. They said no. Given our backwards approach of building first, asking permission later, it was a fair answer. That's basically the whole story. We made something a lot of people were excited about, then incinerated our shot at bringing it to the market. It's a hard lesson to learn publicly. But
Bam.
You've actually got malfunctioning. How is that a lesson you need
Yeah,
to
they're
learn?
malfunctioning.
Everyone already knows that. That's like basic common sense, even if you've never been in business or anything.
Yeah, even I know that. And I'm a
Boiling it down to
nobody.
the bare bones here. If you're going to make something based on someone else's work and sell it for yourself, don't you think, like, naturally your brain would go, maybe I should ask the people that own that if they'd be okay with it? Like, even if you know nothing about licensing or whatever, that's like the most basic, following the breadcrumbs of thoughts imaginable. Like, it feels deliberate. It feels like they didn't want to ask for a license because they knew it might be a slow process, which means they would be late to the Steam machine market. They'd be late to the launch. So in order to be there on time right away to capitalize off the hype train, they felt that they needed to immediately go in production and didn't have time to deal with that pesky license, so they crossed their fingers and hoped for the best. That's what it feels like to me, if this isn't just another one of, like, their marketing things, but it's still such a stupid gamble. Like, it's still dumb. It goes without saying, but we'll say it regardless. Valve didn't do anything wrong here. They built a game franchise a lot of people love, and they alone get to decide how to use.
I'm working on getting one. I was going to get a PS5, but
we were. Thank you and sorry. Refunds are being issued today. If it hasn't landed in your account by end of week, you know how to reach us. To Valve, thank you for Portal.
If you don't have
Sorry for the
Wi-Fi
headache.
for 30 days,
I can at least appreciate that they're not trying to fling shit at Valve for this or paint them as the bad guys for stepping up.
I was going to get a PlayStation,
because
but
I thought
not anymore.
I initially read the
I
headlines
used
that
to
they
like
tried to
PlayStation.
like, fight
I had
back,
PlayStation
like,
2.
why is Valve doing
That was
this?
my
They're
shit.
stopping all over us.
That
This is
bitch.
absurd. But
Not now.
they are outright saying, yeah, Valve didn't do anything wrong. We're dumb. I still find it just so hard to believe that they wouldn't have even toyed with the idea of trying to get permission from Valve or get a license. So I still believe it's one of two things. A calculated marketing tactic here where they were willing to roll the dice, and if it did go tits up, as it inevitably did, that they thought this would be good publicity regardless for the D-Brand image, and it fits in line with how they've conducted it in the past, like with Sony, as it appears. So maybe it could have been like a marketing thing, which again I don't think was smart anyway, because you devoted so much time and resources to this with so many thousands of signups. Like all you do is just lose money on that. I don't think it does anything for your brand image, and it just paints you as dumb for it. Or it could be that they knew that if they tried to go through the proper channels of getting the licensing first for the companion cube in order to use the portal license to make the companion cube, they thought it would take too long and they'd miss this golden opportunity, this window to be there right away for the Steam Machine, for the Steam Machine users, and have this companion cube ready off rip. So just being early, they didn't want to take the chance of being too late, so they decided, fuck it, we won't even bother with the permission of the license, we'll just hope they're cool with it. And it didn't work out. Both of these, though, are not smart. They're both dumb. And I can't
Both
decide
retarded.
what's worse. If they made just a bad business decision of knowingly just not getting the license, or if this is a company run by individuals who never even think to get permission first. It never crosses their mind, like, we're so ditzy and we just got so excited, we dove right into the companion cube, started making it, going to marketing, pushing it, renting out a university campus, and would you believe it, not a single one of us even thought to contact Valve about a license. Ain't that the darndest thing? Like, I don't know what's worse, if they're, like, run by people that are that absent-minded, or if they just made such a stupid decision about, like, knowingly avoiding the license and hoping for the best. Either way, crazy fucking decision here from D-Brand as a company. This was a wacky little thing to be learning about. Anyway, that's about it. See ya.
Meow. That was weird. Nope. Oh, Libby had mine.
Dr. Squatch deodorant. Let your stick do the talking.
The excitement of soccer is everywhere.
I heard
When it's
that
time
shit
to grow,
sucks.
you need to be ready.
Excuse me.
With Everest Business.
I heard that shit sucks. Dr. Squatch, I heard it sucks.
Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a
Do
episode
not,
focused
do
on
not
exposing
let
the
me vote
abundant
Democrat.
hypocrisy of the left. And here's the meme of the day, brought to you by FiveMind.com.
Clearly
Well, I guess
preparing.
it's becoming abundantly clear at this point exactly why the Democrats were so hell-bent on stopping Elon Musk, on stopping any transparency or investigation into what was really going on with the public's
yeah.
tax dollars. Yeah, very clearly they were trying to keep Pandora's box sealed. Holy frickin' moly, we found the fraud again. It's just frickin'
It's
endless.
everywhere.
It's day after day, quite literally at this point. And just a couple months ago, the Democrats were saying that, oh, it was so exaggerated, the idea that there's billions of dollars in fraud. Well, at this point, just following all the announcements, following what's been popping up on my timeline for the last couple of months, it's case after case after case of hundreds of millions of dollars, sometimes in single instances of fraud. Add it all up, and yes, it is multi-billion dollars. And so I guess, here we go again, you know, well, another day, another massive billion-dollar fraud scheme, another fraud case perpetrated by foreigners who clearly have no decency and respect for American values and American taxpayers, groups of people who clearly thought they could come and rob the American taxpayer blind. But no more, friends, no, sorry, buckos. This ain't Biden's America no more. No, this administration is putting an end to the
retarded
Democrat
America
fraud
no
gravy
more. You
train
should
for
say, 'cause
third
Biden
worlders.
won't
Let me
dare.
show you guys the latest announcement from the DOJ and DHS. We've got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. All right, folks. So yeah, pretty much like I said, these announcements are non-stop at this point. The Department of Homeland Security has unraveled yet again another massive web of fraud. Take a look at this.
Today we are announcing that we've identified over 10,000 foreign students who claim to be working for highly suspect employers. And that's just among the top 25 OPT employers. This is only the tip of the iceberg. Over the past year, we've dramatically expanded our oversight of OPT and can report that we've found fraud nationwide. HSI agents have visited problematic OPT employer work sites in Virginia, Texas, Georgia, Illinois, New York, New Jersey, North Carolina, and Florida. Many of these employers include NGOs engaged in suspicious activity. We've discovered empty buildings and locked doors at addresses where hundreds of foreign students are allegedly employed. In many cases, multiple OPT employers claim to operate from the same address, but none actually lease the facility. We found small residential addresses listed as work sites for hundreds of foreign students, yet no employees were present. When someone does answer the door, their statements are inconsistent, or they claim no knowledge of the business. We're also seeing financial red flags. Many alleged employers display clear fraud indicators, including tax liens, civil lawsuits, collections, and breaches of contract. And we are seeing suspicious financial transactions moving cash across multiple countries. We've discovered that numerous businesses fail to maintain basic employment records for the foreign students, raising serious tax reporting concerns. Some employers claim to have offshore human resources and payroll personnel. And finally, we're finding what we call phantom employees. We've identified foreign students who obtained work authorization documents through OPT, but never showed up for work at the sites they claim.
And look, I haven't covered
wow.
every single one of these videos.
Dude,
I think we've
I
maybe
couldn't
done like
be-
4
I
or
couldn't
5
do
in
it.
the last 2 months.
I
But
have
if
a
you're paying
conscience,
attention,
I have a
you
soul,
know that what I'm
couldn't
saying
do
is
it.
true here. And if you're not really
Couldn't
following the
say,
news
"Oh, yeah,
cycle,
I'm
then
on
just
the
trust
job,"
me. These
when I'm
announcements
sitting
are
my ass
happening
right
almost
here.
daily.
Couldn't do
I
it. Just
guarantee
can't do
there's
it.
been at least 20 or 30, maybe more, in the time span that I've covered only a handful. It is endless. And the same clowns, the same Democrats
don't lay
who
on my
swore that
pillow.
there was
No,
no
not my
fraud when
pillow.
Elon Musk was running Doge. Well, they obviously look like complete morons now, don't they?
Not
No,
my
they told you
pillow,
straight
Bobby.
to your face, there's no mass systemic fraud. You're just a racist. Meanwhile, very clearly, the country is being looted. And it's crazy how many fields there are here. You know, in university, you got fields of study. In a game of defrauding the American taxpayer, you've got fields of fraud. We covered the daycare fraud and the hospice fraud, the COVID relief fraud, EBT and social services fraud. We know there's H-1B fraud as well. That we covered last month, and now we've got foreign student fraud. 10,000 foreign students, ghost jobs, empty buildings with the doors locked. Hundreds of them using fake addresses, and of course, as we know, their resumes, their academic resumes that got them into school, or got them the jobs that they supposedly work. Most of those are fake, as we already analyzed previously. Then you've got all these proxy points, these middlemen, these employers, I guess you could call them, who don't even seem to exist on paper half the frickin' time. And slowly but surely, we're starting to decompact the whole thing. They've been doing it for likely, easily, almost 2 decades, and nobody has bothered to look under the hood. But now finally, and thankfully, we've become wiser, and we're starting to connect all the dots. I guess we could call it the Indian OTP scam. They first start off by defrauding the immigration system, bringing people in, again with fraudulent resumes and credentials, or they come on a student visa, plug them into some BS company that doesn't exist or is a total shell. They get work authorization and then just stay in the country in a fraudulent manner, likely working under the table. They're not actually coming in to work important, high-skill, needed jobs that contribute to the economy. They're not going through intensive training. No, they're milking the system and likely sending most of the money they're making back home. American taxpayers are getting screwed in the process as low-trust foreigners are coming in and treating the country basically like an ATM machine. It's a white guilt, easily manipulated ATM machine. And look, I'm not going to say all, but very clearly, a very large percentage are not here to contribute. They're here to take advantage for themselves, and not take advantage of the opportunity the right way, but to siphon as much as humanly possible. And the emotionally susceptible leftist voter falls for it every single time. They think they're supporting some humanitarian effort when, in reality, they're being emotionally played and robbed blind. And that's exactly what's happening in this OPT ghost job empire. And on top of it, it's not just ghost jobs, we're also learning about ghost students. That's another thing.
It's called ghost students. Now, for those of you who don't know what this is, look at this. Scammers are enrolling in colleges under a fake identity, applying for financial aid, and then vanishing with the leftover cash after their tuition is paid. And it's costing some states millions of dollars. In Minnesota, for example, they've identified nearly 8,000 suspected ghost students between 2024 and 2025, potentially costing taxpayers over $12 million. And these ghost students are having a real-life impact on actual students. Quote, in one online class that had 50 spots, as soon as it opened up, within 2 minutes, all of the spots were taken. So this professor thought he had this really hot class that he was going to be opening. Turns out that only 2 of the students who enrolled in the class were real. The rest, all fake. Same story in California. In 2024, nearly a quarter of applications for colleges were fraudulent. A quarter, costing taxpayers $13 million in state and federal funds.
I guess another field of fraud, another fraud program, but again, the exact same kind of methodology, right? Come in, take advantage of a very generous opportunity after being granted the opportunity of a lifetime to study in the greatest country on earth. I mean, talk about generosity. The door being open to enter America, you're given a loan to go to some of the best best schools in the world, to work in the greatest economy of all time, to contribute, to do for yourself, and instead, no, just pocket the money and disappear into the country, probably working illegally, or pocket the money and get on a plane and go back home. And once again, it's another situation that the Democrats are just turning a blind eye to. It's very clear that for them, it's just about signaling virtue, pretending as if they're doing the right thing, being so generous, oh, the altruism. Really, all they're doing is taking other people's money and handing it out as charity to fraudsters or entitled foreigners.
Raising Cane's chicken fingers. One love.
Okay.
Ghost your ROI worries. Spend smarter. Snapchat ads.
German feminist activist Verena Braunschweiger says she wants women to stop having babies to fight climate change.
The German feminist and child-free activist is on a mission to convince women to stop having children. She says it's bad for the environment, bad for their health, and makes them slaves to the patriarchy.
But there's a plot twist because she only wants white women to stop having babies.
Everyone, especially right-wing plans, etc., want women to have more and more white babies. And this is a dangerous development which I really like to fight.
Right,
How about start with yourself?
90% of the global population is non-white. Nigeria alone records more than double the number of live births than the entirety of Europe every single year. But we've got to stop having babies.
Verena says white people have a moral duty to stop having babies and let in more refugees.
Yeah, of course, my focus, and that's what drives the AFD nuts, is we have to cut.
These dumbasses want to kill all white people. How about they start with themselves?
And everyone knows the iPad formula.
Because these bitches ain't reproducing.
Population affluence technology, and if we emit like crazy,
ain't nobody reproducing with that
way more than
ugly looking bitch.
Yes,
Yeah.
It's preferably
A higher standard of living, which results in more CO2 emissions. So as punishment, apparently we've got to import the rest of the world, which then results in more CO2 emissions anyway, rendering her warped argument totally nonsensical. China's the biggest polluter on the planet. Within a decade, India will pump out more CO2 emissions than the USA. You're not calling for them to stop having kids, though, is she? You're starting to think her motivation has little
You want to kill
do
white
with
people?
CO2
Start with yourself, you
emissions,
dumb
and more
cunt.
to do with just hating white people.
More Australians are choosing not to have children. Verena says that's a good thing.
Yeah, of course. It shows that women are really concerned about female empowerment.
Why aren't you lobbying for women in Nigeria to embrace female empowerment then, Verena?
There are environmental reasons. That alone would be enough also for me, so I can completely get if Australian progressive
Alright, who paid this bitch off? Because only dumb white bitches get paid off and are put in power. Only dumb white bitches.
Nigerian woman has, even more for women in Chad, Somalia, DR Congo, Central African Republic, Niger and Mali. Not a problem. No, it's Australian women with their cratering below replacement level fertility rate of 1.48. They're the real problem.
Verena rejects critics who claim antinatalism is selfish.
I always say it's rather selfish to have kids because they are like mini-me's. This is almost some kind of narcissistic approach. I want to.
That's because she has no fucking kids. Like, she got kids?
So that's completely selfish.
If you got kids, but you tell other people not to have kids, that sounds like a problem.
That's pretty
sounds like your
selfish.
problem.
Way more selfish than being considerate and not having kids.
White women not having kids is being considerate for the environment. Non-white women in parts of the world where having too many kids causes actual environmental devastation, who cares? She also clearly suffers from a very severe case of Elon Musk derangement syndrome.
According to Musk, falling birth rates pose a threat to humanity. If people stop having children, society will collapse.
Yeah, exactly. That's the point.
I may say I detest him deeply because this man alone destroys so much. He ruins almost
so you're a
everything
racist because Elon Musk is African American.
On a daily basis, we are so many billion people. How can we say we are going to go extinct? I can't believe this.
Yeah, she's right in the sense that I don't see Nigerians going extinct anytime soon. White people, on the other hand, the ones she wants to stop having babies and to a great extent have already stopped having babies. Yeah, the outlook's not looking too bountiful, is it?
We have also a proud slogan, my bloodline ends with me, and I can say that because I don't have any brothers or sisters, so my bloodline does end with me.
And nothing of value was lost.
Of course, she has no kids, so she don't want nobody else having any kids because she wants everybody to be just as miserable as her.
And either pledge a one-time...
You people, man. It's astronomically
Success stories
stupid.
skip the hard part. Becoming self-made starts there.
By 30, I was at my brokest. I was drowning.
I recently cleaned out my wardrobe, getting rid of some older shirts, which allowed for shirts I hadn't seen in years to make it into my rotation, into the Megamix. So now I'm cycling through some wackier shirts, leading to this, a light blue tee. I'm looking like a prime soccer player right now. I haven't worn this color shirt since I was in elementary school, licking a lollipop and flicking my propeller hat. And who knows what other treasures and treats await in these newly unearthed shirts that have been promoted to the big leagues here from the fucking G League. So anyway, whimsical shirt aside, what I want to yap about is actually pretty degenerate. It's not quirky by any means, I would say. I actually already yapped about this on the Skill Check channel earlier. It's in regards to my cardboard heroin addiction. I have been ripping Lord of the Rings Special Edition collector's boxes pretty much daily on Skill Check for the last, week and some change. And now the Fire Nation's attacked. Everything has changed here. And it's in large part because I was doing these openings. So the Lord of the Rings Special Edition boxes are a set that I really enjoy, but it's a very expensive set. I had 5 boxes that I bought a couple years ago when they were still pretty close to MSRP, and actually this was a set that a lot of people didn't even want and had trouble even selling to people, so it kind of flew under the radar for the longest time, but over time it ballooned into a really expensive one. So when I started opening these, they were sitting at around $4,500 a box. That's a pretty penny. That's a ton of fucking clams. So obviously there wasn't a ferocious appetite with people beating down the doors, climbing all over each other like it's World War Z, to be spending $4,500 per box of Lord of the Rings Special Edition. But I have something that's known as a mental illness. But I view it as more of like an addiction blessing. You see, Darman fam, my caveman brain loves shininess, and boy howdy did this set have a lot of shininess to it. But under no circumstances was this ever even worth $4,500. It's not. No, what you can pull from this set doesn't even come close to that value unless you hit a serialized lottery-winning card. It's just, it was already way overpriced, but I really wanted to do something special with it because I really liked the set. I had decided that I wanted to go on this long quest to keep ripping these boxes until I hit any serialized card from it. A serialized card is a card where there is only a set amount of that card ever made. So in the case of this series, there were a handful of cards that could be serialized X out of 100. And my goal was to keep opening these boxes until I found a single one, no matter what it was. And it's been an extremely enjoyable time.
Alright, next, I don't get into the trading card thing anymore. I got into Marvel.
Hey guys, welcome
Marvel
to the
cards.
Live Monitor. I'm solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. Here's the meme of the day brought to you by 5mind.com. Holy freaking moly. Okay, now this is wild, I gotta tell you. We all know what's happening in the Democrat Party. This rise of grassroots socialism, the rise of AOC and Mamdani politics. That's basically already been established, but now the question is, what's the Democrat Party going to do in response? Are the white blood cells going to activate the immune system? Gonna kick into high gear? Well, obviously, if you paid attention to how the Democrat Party reacted after losing with Kamala Harris in 2024, let's just say having courage to stand up for what's right, to reform the party, steer the ship in the right direction. Well, not exactly the Democrats' strong point. I'd say they don't possess the skill
that
even
blue
at
hair,
all,
fucking bug-eyed looking old
well, it's one
bitch,
thing to
like,
make the
for
claim,
real.
you know, as I always say, it's another thing
So
to prove it.
miserable.
And boy, do I have the receipts. We got an internal letter from the Democrat Party, and holy frickin' moly, it is bad. A small group of Democrats tried circulating a letter inside the party simply asking other members to condemn socialism, to ask their colleagues to reject it. And out of over 200 members asked to sign the letter, only 13 people did. Let that sink in for a second. This is the party that was able to get 51 disgraced former CIA agents sign on to a fake letter to protect Joe Biden during the Hunter Biden laptop scandal. Very easy for them to get signatures when it's time to spread literal fake news news and mislead the American people during an election, but when it comes to actually doing the right thing, condemning the rise of one of the world's most documented ideologies of evil, nope, nobody's signing the damn letter. Folks, these establishment Democrats are shitting their pants. The hostile takeover is over. This is the party of Hassan Piker, of Mamdani, of whatever her name is, Chevalier, her first name is absolute gibberish, and of course of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. It's no longer the Democrat Party, folks. It's the Democrat Socialist Party. It is freaking over. Let me show you guys what's going on. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. Alright, folks, so take a look at this right here on screen. This is basically the synopsis of the letter that Democrats tried passing and getting signatures on the House floor. Read our promise to America. America is stronger than our politics. Politics forces false choices between extremes on the right and the left. We reject them. Too many Americans have not benefited from the last half-century of economic growth. Americans want an economy that lowers costs, expands opportunity, rewards the people who work hard every day. Americans want safe communities and institutions that solve problems. We believe in building more to lower costs and expand opportunity. We believe Democrats succeed when we speak to the whole country and value persuasion over purity. We, the undersigned, make this promise to America. Then below comes all the promises. We'll just read the bolded statements. We are capitalists, not socialist. We want safety, not lawlessness. We are responsible, not reckless. Just become a Republican at this point. We believe government should solve problems, not create them. We are mainstream, not extreme. We are proud, not ashamed of America. You guys are in the wrong party, but of course so many of these absolute chicken
Oh, they gotta deflect.
10 wings, $10. At Zaxby's, the math is mathing. Zaxby's 10 for 10.
There's DNA.
Don't you do it.
There's heavy duty DNA. H.
Sorry,
America.
I got
You
disciplined
guys are
mechanic.
in the wrong party, but of course so many of these absolute chicken goofballs, I guess, still are living in a state of frickin' delusion because they passed this around the Democrat Congress, and only 13 out of 259 Democrats in Congress were willing to put their signature down to oppose socialism and sign on to the other pledges. That's roughly 5%, with the other 95% either refusing to sign it or supporting the exact opposite. And so it's obvious what's going on here. The Democrat class right now is terrified. You know the type of conversations that are going on behind the scenes. Some of the stuff that we were hearing during the 2020 and 2024 campaigns. We covered so many leaks of House Democrats warning about the rise of radical politics in their party. I remember some quotes of, "This is going to destroy us. It's going to kill us if we continue down this path." And well, now the conversations that are probably happening behind closed doors is we've been commandeered, we've lost control, and if we even speak up for a second, we are going to get destroyed. Just like what's happening to Scott Wiener right now, what happened to Dan Goldman and so many other legacy Democrats. Their time is simply out. If you're not a hardcore Islamist, anti-Zionist, you are out. If you don't support the most radical social policies, they're going to destroy you. And it's crazy because the Democrats just got absolutely owned in the last election cycle. Frankly, I'd argue the last two election cycles, but they've been on a consistent downturn, and it's because of the radical policies like abolish ICE, abolish the police, abolish the electoral college, seize the means of production, all this wacky far-left crap.
There are a lot of things that we're united on. You know, like, let's make sure that we stop ICE from terrorizing our cities. I've said ICE not only needs to be abolished, they need to be prosecuted. I think there's a lot of Democrats who agree on that.
So we're still going to have a big battle.
And we need them in every fucking state.
ICE should be defunded. I don't think that ICE is any longer capable of existing because it is so corrupt at its core. But we still have to have that.
ICE has been around for a while.
As well as said so in public, that I believe that ICE is a cruel agency that does nothing to further the interests of public safety. It's why I agree with Daria Lisa Avila Chevalier in that we have to abolish ICE.
What the fuck is that?
That's not an American name. Get the fuck out of here. That has humanity back at the heart of it.
What the fuck was that?
Vote no against
maintaining this DHS funding
And
as
I don't
it stands.
expect
I
a
think if you are an
bartender
everyday
that's in
person,
Congress
what is happening right now
to
is
have
that there is
anything
an
up there.
environment of political intimidation at play.
I think that there
Oh,
is some
God.
real shaking up
Word
that we
soup.
have to do of the rules and the structure.
Word
Is that
salad.
it-
Word salad.
I think we should. That should be a discussion that we should have.
This is the reason why Democrats have been on the downturn. That and, well, the wide-scale corruption and fraud. But now what's happening is a double down on those exact ideas that have been cratering Democrat support, that have now put them in the weakest position that the opposition party has been in during a midterm following a presidential transition. And honestly, there's kind of like a weird twisting of the narrative here. Essentially, the rise of far-left politics has cratered the Democrat Party, and now you've got the far-left socialists pointing the finger at the Democrat establishment saying, it's your fault, look what you did, and now it's our turn to rise. Their solution to the problem is more of the problem, as they blame arguably the most successful Democrat political class of all time, the Obama-era Democrats, and of course the Clinton fossils as well. Those were the most successful eras of Democrat politics, where they were actually able to bridge the gap and win over the working class, and now these far leftists have somehow twisted reality and convinced themselves, or I think they're more so trying to just twist reality to their favor and convince the masses that actually the problem is the corporate Democrats, and we're the solution, despite them very evidently and very clearly being the proponents of the most radical, most despised policy proposals and stances. They're the defund the police people, and well, you know, they've managed to convince themselves, they've managed to convince the grassroots Democrat base.
They ain't convincing me for shit.
Dr. Squatch deodorant. Let your spray do the talking.
Our old CRM was great at tracking sales, but when the deal closed, service got buried in busy.
Breaking news out of the Hill newspaper in Washington, D.C. It reports Democrat insiders are now worried the Justice Department probing California Governor Gavin Newsom's inner circle, including his wife's taxes and her nonprofits, that is going to hurt his run for the White House.
And again, he keeps on saying they don't want me to run for president. No, Governor Gavin Newsom, you're the easiest candidate to beat.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to say. And the Democrats don't even have that deep of a bench. But the idea is, we're not trying to dodge a popular president with such a long history of being successful. We're just trying to make sure fraudsters go to jail.
Right.
It was triggered by whistleblowers in California in 2022 under Joe Biden. Joining us now, Fox News My View with Lara Trump host Lara Trump. We're happy we got the technical difficulties figured out with Lara earlier, along with Fox News contributor Joe Concha. Thanks so much for coming on. Joe, first to you. What do you make of the Hill newspaper here?
I think that this is very serious for Gavin Newsom, Elizabeth and Laura, because you look at polling, for example. The last four that I've seen, it's Gavin Newsom trailing Kamala Harris, who isn't exactly, you know, the Caitlin Clark of presidential candidates, by 22 points, 19 points, 17 points, 18 points. And then you hear about these investigations where, again, 300...
But again, the Democrats have nobody on their bench. They used to have good candidates that could be on there. I don't like them, but Bernie Sanders, Tulsi Gabbard, RFK,
Bernie Sanders never worked a day in his life.
Which is the idea that they had candidates that would get more steam than a Joe Biden, Kamala Harris. But since they chased them all out, they're left with the scraps.
$40 million in donations from wealthy donors, special interests, some of which receive preferential treatment and millions of dollars in state contracts, all in being propped up or propping up the political activities of...
And it's not that the Democrats don't plan on doing this shady stuff behind the scenes. They're just not going to install a guy that has already been accused of doing shady things behind the scenes.
Jennifer Newsom, this Daily Mail investigation, by the way, also another one, found that she was paying herself, Jennifer Newsom was, since 2012, $3.7 million to run this charity. So,
and now we know why Governor Gavin Newsom takes the television to say, investigate me, come after me, but leave my family out of it. Leave the wife of the mother of my children out of it, because honestly, I believe the money was going to be washed through her to pay him on the back end. That's just my theory, but for you to say, don't look into my wife's finances, means every single investigator needs to be looking, scouring through her finances now.
He tells smells you bad, it looks bad, and Gavin Newsom's certainly going the wrong direction, because again, when you have the highest poverty, tax, unemployment rate in the country. And oh, by the way, you've only rebuilt 2 homes in the Malibu and Palisades areas. There's not a record to run on, and right now there's not a lot of integrity, it seems to be there either, as far as the way he's run his administration, and his wife for that matter.
What Joe just said, it's sort of like pulling the thread on a massive Democrat machine of Lara, that where they think these.
And the crazy part is, Nick Shirley was the first part of that string to find, just in that small part of, like, Minnesota. But then he comes to California, finds that small part of the valley over in Los Angeles, and it's like, yeah, that was his undoing. Some kid with a camera saying, you're supposed to have 72 kids inside this daycare, and I find nothing.
Yeah.
The stuff that they do, the way the state is run, is normal. And to what Joe said, Gavin Newsom got special interest groups to donate over $340 million to Newsom's pet projects. More than $4.4 million went to his wife's nonprofit. This is California's controversial.
So wait. The accusation here, or the guess is, they gave them $4 million to the wife's nonprofit. She gave herself an insanely high salary, and then later on, they got favors from Newscam as he's the governor of California. It's not going to be a very difficult case to solve, and the idea is if they did it obviously it's going to be more elaborate than that if he's doing something wrong. But if it's that simple, they just thought they were always above the law. No one's going to catch us because you got, like, the people are so weak.
Behested payment system. What do you make of this? I mean, Steve Hilton calls it literally corruption in plain sight. He's running for governor, and as Joe pointed out, some of the donations came from corporations.
Yeah, corporations and everything, and that's why it's only going to his wife, and he's afraid of that because pay her own film company, so it's layered, but it all goes back to her.
Newsom's nonprofit reportedly took cash from a Native American tribe that operates a casino in the state and was backed by her husband, while her other charity reportedly paid her own private film company directly.
Is it the babies thing that said, we're going to give all these people of color diapers, but we're going to triple mark the diapers, pay insanely high rates, and pat ourselves in the back to say, we gave babies diapers, but then skimmed off the top by like tenfold.
Exactly. But the Newsoms, well, they're pushing back.
Donald Trump isn't just coming after me because of my mean tweets. He's
you're plagiarizing tweets from Trump to throw them back at him. But again, none of them land. Like, if you would see people quoting Gavin Newscam and being like, oh my God, Newscam's got another banger. It's like, no, everybody just makes fun of you. I don't know where he's getting this delusion from.
Because he's delusional.
Because I'm considering running for president.
We knew you were considering running for president back when you flew out to Florida, I believe it was, to debate Governor Ron DeSantis. This is like when Kamala and Trump were already selected. You just decided you're going to do a debate. We've known this for a very long time because you haven't cared about California in the last, 4 years.
Because he hates that I've consistently called him out over and over again for his lies.
And Trump has never been more popular and more loved. If this is what your offense is, I'd hate to see what your concession would be.
And deceit. One by one.
Yeah, like his stupid knee pad shtick. Ooh, everybody was so on top of Trump because you brought knee pads with his name and flew out to Europe with him. He still looks like he's just been crying.
Anyone who has challenged Donald Trump has ended up on his hit list. And today, I proudly join that list.
No.
And today, I proudly join that list.
No, you don't.
Why does he talk like that? So just last
why does he
former
talk like
Chief of
that?
Staff Dana Williamson pled guilty to federal fraud charges. Joining us now for tonight's Bill Newsom's nonprofit.
It's already starting to crumble because they say wife paying her own film company, but also where his former or chief of staff is walking away from him.
A lot here when you start digging into some of the nonprofits, some of Jennifer Siebel Newsom's extracurricular activities. What more can you tell us that we should be aware of?
Well, first of all, who knows? It could be politically motivated. John Bolton made that argument, and then he ended up pleading guilty. It doesn't change the facts.
No.
And it's been known for a long time that Gavin Newsom and his wife have been tied up in this very shady practice of what we call behested payments. Now, they're legal under California campaign finance law. Basically, politicians ask big money donors to give contributions to nonprofits of their choice. But in Newsom's case...
It's like lightly washing the money. they just break the rules. Don't apply to anybody. I'm talking about Republicans and Democrats, all scumbags.
He asked donors to give money to his wife's nonprofit organization, and sometimes these donors were, as you mentioned, the Native American tribe before, they were interests with business before the state, so it raises questions of conflict of interest. That was already out in the open. That's in the public domain, and it's very shady. What else might be going on in her tax returns, we've yet to find out, but we do know that Gavin Newsom's former chief of staff has pleaded guilty for fraud and corruption, and the rot is...
I wonder if he's singing like a bird and it's going up the top, and that's why this investigation's happening in the first place. He's pleading guilty. What else do they know? And they're not willing to say quite yet.
Pretty thick in Sacramento.
Yeah, it's happening, all these things. Oh, they never commit fraud, they never commit fraud. Okay, it happens sometimes, but not that much. Or actually, it's rotten to the core. Possibly, because they say, in 2024, the Newsoms bought their house for $9.1 million, all cash, through an LLC that Jen Newsom created 1 week after the purchase. 3 months later, they refinanced the property to pull out $6.5 million. According to Jen Van Loor, Newsom's mortgage spend is $600,000 annually for all the real estate. Strange behavior to buy a property all cash through a makeshift LLC, then refinance to get the cash at a high interest rate. Something smells like corrupt. Now, tweet isn't fact. Who knows what sourcing this is from? But the idea that if they could just do this in plain sight and nobody looked into it makes me feel like what else is going on there that they did hide? It's probably not more elaborate. They think they're royalty and can do anything in California. For a long time they have. Remember the COVID lockdowns? You can't even go to church. You can't go to school anymore.
You can't see your dying grandma.
School. You're not allowed to go to a restaurant. But Pelosi can reopen a closed down salon to get her hair done.
Yeah.
You can't go to your job no more. But Governor Gavin Newsom can make in-person dining for him and his buddies at the French Laundry. You have to pay this insane amount for your workers, but my buddies from, was it Panera Bread? I forget the company. But his old campaign buddies, they can have these old minimum wage because they bake bread on property. Like, all these insane rules for you that they don't apply to them. They really do think they're royalty because I feel like they don't think that
they create the laws, but they don't follow them. That's my big issue.
Even when the system's working correctly in California,
they create the law,
they now
but
have
then they don't even follow the law. So why should I follow the law if these corrupt ass motherfuckers don't even follow themselves?
Awarding contracts to companies based on their sexuality. Businesses have to
super illegal.
Prove that they're gay enough to qualify for the.
So a business can prove they're LGBT, and there was a longer list, providing a letter from LGBT organization attesting to their preferences, proof that a newspaper identified them as LGBT, and then 3 attestation letters from personal contacts. So meaning to say, there's certain I don't know, grants? Like there's money you can get from California government, taxpayer funds from California. If you can get 3 people to write in a document to say that you are part of the LGBT movement. No voter ID. What is going on in California? I'm angry enough at the idea that we have billion-dollar speed rail that doesn't get built, but they say, but it's a good jobs program. We can spend all this money and we're just creating jobs. Isn't that good enough? No high-speed rail, but we've made unemployment go down slightly. What? I'm not gonna be kidding. Whoever made this needs to go to jail.
Yeah,
you have to fraud the American people this hard, saying, "Give me 3 letters and I'll give you the LGBT money."
3
no,
letters.
This is a civil rights violation for straight people.
LGBT contracts, for example, they can include 3 letters from personal contacts attesting to their sexual orientation. Now, the DOJ says they're going to look into that program. What's up with that? It looks like a lot of red tape. And how do you prove you're gay? The Public Utilities Commission's...
The thing is, we don't need to prove... I don't care...
Can you do the job? I don't give a fuck if you're gay or not.
There's a company out there. I don't care if the owner likes to be with other men, likes to be with women, has whatever preference they want.
My business.
I don't care. I just want the best service at the best price. But the fact that now they get a regular American that doesn't want to apply for this LGBT, what is it, contract. Now I have to compete with someone that's going to get taxpayer assistance. Is just, it's wild to me. But nothing is worse than the actual fraud coming out of California.
The first is, in the first quarter of last year, we revoked billing privileges for fraudsters of 106 providers.
And remember, he's finding 1,006 providers committing fraud, Medicare fraud. But when Dr. Oz followed Nick Shirley's lead and went also somewhere in the valley and found a whole bunch of fraud, remember, Governor Gavin Newsom rushed to the television to say it's a civil rights violation to call the mob a mob because they're committing fraud in his state. Because I'm telling you right now, you pull out all the fraud from the valley, at least in Los Angeles, that entire economy is going to topple. Oh, thank you, Arrow, for the 5 gifted.
Pretty good result, we thought, at the time. This same period this year, the first quarter, we made 1,400 revocations. That's a 40% increase over last year. So 40% more revocations. We also have payment suspensions where we just don't pay the bill because we don't think it's legitimate. But this is impressive. The first half of this year, we made 1,000 Medicare payment suspensions. 1,000. That's a lot of people.
And how many?
Nearly 800, by the way, from one state.
Yeah, and all those 1,000 payments they stopped, did a single disabled person come out and say, hey, I rely on that money to survive? If 0 people poke their head out to say, hey, where'd my money go? I'm going to go ahead and say it was fraud.
California. For a similar period last year, we made 219 suspensions. So a 500% increase in payment suspensions because we're using tools now that historically had been used marginally. Now, these efforts brand all kinds of new tools for Medicare and Medicaid. The fraud war room that has been put together is a purpose-built tool to identify, track, and neutralize bad actors, often from foreign countries, much more effectively than the old system. The formula is straightforward. The DOJ brings prosecutorial firepower, law enforcement brings investigative tools, CMS brings data, the analytics, we use administrative muscle to push things through, and we are closing loopholes that fraudsters have avoided and been exploiting for years. Those days are over. Fraudsters.
For the simple fact that these Democrat politicians will cry and say, oh, why is Doge looking into this? Why is Dr. Oz looking at this? Why is the DOJ messing with their Medicare fraud? Closing loopholes makes me think they were using those loopholes themselves. They don't mind if another country defrauds us for a couple $1 billion, because they were going to defraud us for a couple $10 billion as well.
Your time is up. Now, speaking of fraudsters, I want to highlight an important case that drives home what everyone on the stage...
Yeah, they know what's happening. California is continuing to crumble. But like I said, there are so many economic zones in Los Angeles that are entirely propped up with all these fraudsters out there because, sad to say, large parts of the valley are just entirely blocks of drug stores, cell phone repair stores, adult daycares, like all these facilities that seemingly never get patronized, but they've been there for a long time. You always knew they were a front for money laundering, and now we know what they were laundering, and to think not only are these fraudulent business fronts fraudulent, but then their purchases at the luxury designer mall in the valley, all the Maserati and Lexus and Acura and Audi stores, those are all propped up by that. Even the grocery stores are propped up by the, it's all going down the drain, and all of a sudden,
main character syndrome, they're everywhere.
Spin smarter.
I might have a little bit of main character syndrome.
Waiting in the sun all day. They're probably hungry, and these Built Puffs have protein. Try this. Nice.
No.
Ma'am, you could get hurt.
It's a hard hat area, Karen. Get the fuck out. Hard hat area. Get out, Karen. You got no shoes, no helmet? Get the fuck out of there.
Yeah, but call 311. Call 311. Call 311.
Arrest that dumb bitch.
What are you doing, lady? This is clearly a dangerous construction site. You can't just wander in there like an escaped psych ward patient. Hey, what's up? Today we're looking at some people who have main character syndrome.
Some serious main character syndrome. You can't just be in a hard hat area
I feel
where
like she's
no
in there trying to
shoes,
get
no
them to
hard
stop
hat.
the construction, like the whole world revolves around her. She's like, no, you gotta stop what you're doing. You got Look, there's little spikes everywhere. If you fall over, they're liable. You don't have a hard helmet on. Those shoes are definitely not steel-toed.
Hell no.
You should not be here. She doesn't realize how dangerous this is for her to be walking around in this construction area. Oh, she's delusional. Stop the daytime drinking, okay? It's not for you. Handling. This video here has been going viral, and it has become the world's greatest meme.
Yeah, the pointing.
The most recent meme going around the world. It's just pointing.
Yeah, she's just pointing. And that bitch is losing her shit. That bitch is losing her shit. She's just...
It's ridiculous, but it's working. It's making the entire other team angry.
Yep. The only thing she's doing is this. She's doing it.
She locks in. She's locking in on this point. Wow. It hasn't even said a word. It's the most subtle thing ever. This coach, you know he's trying not to laugh right now. This guy back here's having a great time.
Motherfuckers are laughing their ass off.
Guy,
look at that guy right there. The guy in the green shirt.
Explain what happened here on a podcast. This is what she said.
I was just kind of pointing, and she's like, don't you point at me. And I was like, oh, should have said that. And I didn't say a word.
It's just...
And now she will be immortalized by the internet.
Yep.
The memes that will happen.
The memes, they're gonna meme the fuck out that shit.
Old-fashioned shoot talking. Just shoot talking off. It's shit talking. But actually she didn't talk. It's shit pointing. When you see me put my phone up, walk behind me, not in front.
Bitch, you ain't all that. You're barely a 2.
You don't get to make that judgment call. You don't get to tell people where to walk just because you put a phone out in public, okay? This is one of those things. If you're gonna make a video in public, you might have to take it a few times because people are walking back and forth. Try to find a spot where nobody's walking around. Don't go into a high-traffic area if you don't want people walking in and out of your shot.
Exactly.
You don't get to tell people where to walk just because you think you're this big, important influencer.
You're not.
No, that's not how it works. The entitlement. Ah, here's a trend I hate.
That bitch won't even
These
a 2.
They get their food and then they act super excited about it. Oh man, that was one big bite. Oh, I wonder what he's gonna do now. This guy's been skipping leg day. I know
he's been skipping leg day like a bitch.
Leg day. Oh, don't encourage him, people. Come on. Oh
No.
yeah, I knew it was coming.
Nope.
Dance. The dancing is just not needed.
No, it's not. You're an idiot. You're an idiot. You're an idiot. You're an idiot.
I just feel like when you do this kind of stuff, you just don't have good ideas. That food, I will say, that food looks fantastic. It does look, you know what, actually, maybe I'd be dancing too if I was eating a platter like that. This guy back here, I think, just became your biggest fan. Either that or he's a stalker and he knew you were going to be here today doing your video.
Look at the dummy.
Super excited.
If that dude
just... Like, stop clapping for him. What are you doing? It's like, I just love this guy. I love this guy so much. I don't know why.
Dude, he's scared himself. He's scared himself.
Here's Erling Haaland eating food in public, and he got scared of his own image. That's right. You know what? I might actually just say this guy is the main character right now because he's the one that's been talked about most in the World Cup. He's a professional soccer player, if you don't know, and he's a beast of a man, feared on the field. He's one of the top scorers right now. He's a good player. He is. He's one of those players where I'm going to watch his games just because I want to see him play. He's making a big name for himself. Also, he's a social media influencer, and he does great on social media, too. This guy, I can get on board with, okay? If it was him doing the little eating food and dancing video, I'd probably enjoy it. I don't know. Maybe I'm just too much of a fanboy right now.
Yeah. Hello, I'm glad I don't get into sports because I'm so confused.
Community-driven, integrated EMR and practice management platform. I'm excited to
dancing video, I'd probably enjoy it. I don't know. Maybe I'm just too much of a fanboy right now.
What did you say? Can you not touch me, please? Can you not? I'm recording you. Don't touch me.
And move the fuck out the way.
You can go around.
I can't.
You can. You got legs.
I'm 18.
Okay.
Move the fuck out the way, you dumb. barged right through his ass, for real. I'd elbow the fuck out of him.
I don't give a damn what you're doing. You're extremely rude and arrogant.
I'm recording.
And? I'm
What
recording.
about this poor
And?
lady? Jeez, man. Like, at
I'm
least
gonna
give
fuck
her
with
an
your
arm to help
recording.
her go up. You know what she's trying to say? Like, are you that stupid? She's 80 years old. She needs the railing to go up the stairs.
What do you expect
Ooh,
from
this
these
one gets under my
retards?
skin.
Yeah,
What are you-
exactly.
oh, I'm relaxing in the middle of the damn stairs. And what are you? You're threatening her by recording her? Oh, don't touch me. Oh, you're scared of the little old lady touching your wrist? What are you
Yeah, I
gonna fall
know,
down
right?
and act like she assaulted you? Come on. All you have to do is step to the side, and you're in a standoff with this woman who clearly is just using the railing because she doesn't want to fall down the stairs because she's elderly. You can see her trying to now she's trying to figure out, how do I back down the stairs? I got it, because she's trying to hold the railing so tight. A fall like that at 80 can end you really quickly. And you're standing there, you want her to go around and basically risk herself because of your arrogance. Oh.
What do you expect from these retards,
I hope
man?
karma comes to get this guy. He's
Oh,
gonna fall down the stairs and break his neck. He's gonna be like, why is this happening to me? Well, this is why. This one
Break
time
his
when you
fucking
filmed
neck.
it. And you put it online too. That's what blows my mind, is this guy put this up. You
Thinking it
filmed
was
this and you
okay.
put it up like you were right for filming this? Are you that stupid? Who raised this piece of shit? Some people they need a lesson. They need a lesson
Civility.
in real life. You're not living in this reality, sir. Ooh, made me angry. Ooh, here's a trend I don't understand.
Oh, he's somebody's
Jaden
bitch.
Smith.
He's somebody's
What's with the
bitch.
hand? Are you Bundy from Married with Children? The worst part about this video is he takes the hand out of his pants and then grabs the door handle. Other people are gonna be touching that door handle. Come
He's
on
somebody's
now.
bitch.
That's just gross. You
Hands
don't
around
look
his
cool.
ass.
Oh,
Whose bitch
I'm never
is he?
touching a door handle
Whose
again
bitch
in my
is he?
life. This one was posted as aura farming. Not really 100% sure what that is, but these two little twerps are just playing loud music on the train while they awkwardly walk around like I guess that's what it is, they're trying to farm aura. Like, you guys look ridiculous how you're dressed. Is that the point? Are you supposed to look ridiculous? He's got a Roblox shirt on, tiny little Harry Potter glasses, and a 6'7" pair of pants. Don't let this guy dress himself anymore. You think that you're making this outfit look cool? This is the most ridiculous pair of nerds I've ever seen in my life. Oh my, oh dude, oh, it hurts my soul seeing this. Yeah, your content is so fresh. Annoying people. That's content these days, I guess, just being annoying, dressing like a ridiculous human being and being annoying. That's the content. Woo. You guys really went into the brain box to figure that one out. This guy here figured out he's got the reflexes of Spider-Man. Thought this was his origin story. Watch. Yeah? No.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Just a normal person.
Meh.
Alright.
I know, right?
Yeah, just put the clamp on next time. Although that was a good catch. No. It's not superhuman, it's just good reflexes. Calling out the chef in front of everyone.
The whole room's holding their breath. The chef's about to get what's coming to him.
Oh, I was about to say, I thought that shit fucked up.
Don't encourage her. I'll have what she's having. A mental breakdown over food. I mean, I just can't get on board with these over-exaggerated food vlogs, alright? It's like they went from just Instagramming their food, like, look at this nice meal, and now everyone just has to step it up.
And scream
Some
about
way
it.
to be annoying in public. Don't clap for her. Plant people in there to clap. I had to look twice to see if you put the sound effect in or not. Surprised people clap for her. That's ridiculous. Notice the weird ass sitting behind me doing half-ass reps, trying to act like he didn't just sit there to stare at me. Oh, wow.
First, let's give a shout out to all the looky-loos.
Nobody's staring at you. You're wearing
They
skin
automatically
tight
show
shit.
up.
You were 3 at the most. But looking like that, you were 1. 1. Well, okay,
And just for the
half of
record,
1.
guys, there's nothing worse than a creeper. Like, you have no chance doing stuff like that. Just
Maybe
FYI, the
put
guy
some
behind
clothes
you.
I
on,
don't really
ho.
mind the stairs, but when you're obvious that trash isn't cool, like, control yourself. This guy's not even looking at you. Look at him. He's looking down right
He's
now
at
in
his
between
phone.
reps. He's literally trying not to look at you.
Nobody's looking at these dumb bitches in the gym.
When you buy Aldi brand.
It's an Aldi thing.
And then women wonder why they're so single and alone. Yeah, no, nobody cares. Nobody gives a fuck. You did it to yourself.
Not even looking at you. Look at him. He's looking down right now in between reps. He's literally trying not to look at you.
But let me give you a show since you want to watch.
What the fuck?
He clearly doesn't want to watch. He looked away when you started being a friggin' degenerate. Stop trying to force it.
Garbage.
Like, you're out there, you're filming yourself in front of the mirror. Maybe he glanced at you, but for you to think that he sat there just to stare at you, that is so arrogant. And then again, you posted it online like you were the right person in this video. No, this guy's just doing his reps, and he's actually being very respectful. You can tell he's trying not to look. Because you're filming. He knows you're filming. He's not doing shit, okay? You're the one. You're the one doing something. You're filming this dude in public and then putting him on blast and trying to make him look like a pervert when I don't think he's even doing anything. Crazy main character energy. You know what? I'm getting too pissed off in this one, so we're going to end with a good one. Something happy. Something fun. This one's a wrestling match, and this guy got his son the best seats in the house. This video's probably a little bit old, but look at this kid. This kid is having the time of his life. Love that the wrestlers are getting in on it, too. Oh, yeah.
Oh, the kid got him. Yeah, look at the kid. Yeah.
It feels so tough. That kid can be the main character any day.
Hell yeah.
He's probably a professional wrestler now just because of this. That memory will be in his brain for the rest of his life. That's going to be one of those
I remember my wrestling days.
He's going to talk about this forever. He's going to be a 50-year-old man and be like, this one time I took a wrestler out. Wait, that's not 50. That's like 80, that voice. He's going to be like an 80-year-old man like, this one time I took a wrestler out of the slack when I was 6 years old. It's so nice that the wrestlers got in on it, too.
That's cool.
Or maybe that wrestler, well, I don't know. I didn't see the rest of the video. He might have won, like, body slam that kid after. I don't know. Cut it too early. Anyway, that's what I got for you today. I hope you enjoyed this video.
Miami, the Magic City, is a modern American dystopia. It is the city which perfectly parodies America as a whole. It's where the country's billionaires have decided to live next door to each other. Jeff Bezos bought this $100 billion home on Indian Creek Island, then bought his neighbor's mansion right next door. This ultra-exclusive billionaire bunker contains a 300-acre man-made island with its own private golf course that looks like something straight from Dubai. Across the street is Mark Zuckerberg's residence. Then you have Jared Kushner and Ivanka Trump owning property there, along with Howard Schultz, Sergey Brin, and Larry Page. You might even bump into Peter Thiel down at the local Equinox, where you can just casually go past one of his many houses.
Many houses.
Creek in Miami is called Billionaire Bunker.
Big businesses are moving here from all over the world. The financial center is packed with companies like Citadel, Nvidia, Uber, Microsoft, and Palantir, which even recently moved its HQ to Miami. This is what the Miami Beach mayor has to say about the city's meteoric rise.
This is going to be the next finance hub.
What does $1 million a year, every year for life look like? It looks...
You ain't never gonna win that shit. Playing the lottery is a big scam.
LA, Miami has become the city everyone aspires to break into.
We always lose.
A whole new generation of OnlyFans gods, crypto bros, and anyone else clinging to the idea of who they want to be. On the surface, the city works.
Somebody heard OnlyFans.
The first version we found is the side you see on TikTok. Huge modern mansions, yachts, and massive boats parked outside in the harbor. You could even see Indian Creek from a distance, but could never get near it. There are patrol boats everywhere and a fortified gated entrance. But we also found a completely different side to Miami that isn't in the reels and podcasts, but not in the obvious way like Las Vegas or Los Angeles. Miami sells itself as the real deal, with real money, real businesses, and a real vision of the future. And for a moment, you're convinced. The whole city is essentially a stage set arranged to look like a paradise. Drained, filled in, paved over, planted and replanted, all by a series of developers over the years, all of whom saw immense potential in a humid, mosquito-infested strip of swamp that nobody wanted to live in. The palm trees that line every boulevard aren't native to South Florida. The majestic royal palms were imported from Cuba.
I knew they were.
Palms came from the South Pacific by way of the Caribbean. Even the sand on Miami Beach itself gets trucked in every few hours because the real beach keeps washing away.
So this is a place built on appearances, so it's not really a surprise then that it's the global
So you
capital
stop
of
keeping
an
maintenance
economy
up
that
in
runs
Florida.
Take this guy we met in Brickell, wearing
and
camera
takes it back
sunglasses and making content by hitting on girls.
I just go around hitting on girls with them, bro. Pretty much it. The glasses, slip it, the board. Been doing it for a while now, like 2 years now. I was on TikTok one day scrolling and I saw this guy doing it. I'm like, yo, you know what? I could do that too. So I just bought him one day, bro. I remember I uploaded one video and then boom, my life changed forever.
He told us that Miami is his best market.
Best videos I've ever made was out here. Dude, I think I saw one girl, dude. Oh my god. Out here? Or right there by that like little trailer. It was fake, obviously. Yeah, right. Dude, her ass was huge. I was like, yo, like, I walked up to her, I'm not gonna lie. Like, yo, like, her ass is humongous. And I think, yeah, dude, I think she won the award for the biggest ass.
That is hardly surprising because Miami is ground zero for the most massive movements. It was why Louis Theroux spent most of his time there filming his latest documentary Inside the Manosphere. There's also people like Dr. Miami, the city's most famous plastic surgeon, who built a massive platform live streaming Brazilian butt lifts from his clinic in a city that's become the BBL capital of the world.
On average, how many BBLs do you think you're doing?
A lot.
Like in a day or
Oh, no, and it's not a factory. It's not like 15 a day. I would say 2 a day, maybe. 1 or 2 a day.
How many butts are out there in the world?
Oh, the Dr. Miami?
Yeah.
Thousands.
Yeah?
Thousands and thousands. I've been doing this for a long time.
Yeah.
Aside
Who
from
the
all
fuck wants a fake
BBLs,
ass,
when you're out
man?
Miami at night, you
Like,
notice
what?
another
I'm
huge
weak.
part of its
I'm
identity.
weak. Fake
the
asses,
clubs.
man.
Miami nightlife isn't really a scene so much as the gravitational center the rest of the city orbits around. Most of the people you see at the airport end up at one of the club tables within the first weekend in town. We spoke to Sneaker, who resides in both Miami and New York, seeing how life really is in the center of Miami and Brickell, and why everyone seems to be moving here.
Well, right now I have a gun on me. I can't do that in New York. Like, everywhere I go, I'm strapped. The taxes are better, and there's more. Everyone says that this is the new LA. It's just like there's a lot of motion here right now. You want to be where the action is if you're trying to grow. Yeah. I mean,
but he also made the same observation everyone makes about Miami. You need a very deep wallet if you want to actively get involved in everything it has to offer.
most of the people in Brickell that live here are millionaires, or at least like close in terms of assets and business. Yeah, I would say most of these people are millionaires. And when we were kids, being a millionaire sounded insane, right? But now it's like pretty much almost everybody that I talk to around here that you see has $1 million, and it's crazy how normal it's become. I think 100K a month is a benchmark.
When you talk to those running the nightlife, they tell you more about who's fueling the city's image. This is Nate, one of the top promoters in the city. He also moved to Miami from New York. He's the go-to guy for crypto millionaires and hedge fund kids who spend 6 figures a night just to sit at the best table. He estimates Miami contains, in his words,
in Miami, you have the smallest but largest concentration of wealth anywhere in the country, and most of it's new money. So new money doesn't act the same way as old money. Old money had to work their ass off to get to where they are. They had to do all sorts of things over years and years and years, generations, to get to where they are.
And he puts his finger on the exact culture Miami has built and how it benefits promoters like himself.
New money, they pretty much snap their fingers and money appeared. It could be the course sellers, it could be the crypto guys who pumped a meme coin, it could be guys who started OnlyFans management companies.
The whole nightlife economy is driven by a ritual that Nate calls the parade. At a certain point in the night, there's a moment of suspense before the Boxer girls march out from the back with sparklers and giant
Liberty Mutual helps you customize and save hundreds on car insurance.
Ain't nobody listening to that shit. Shut up. Fucking scam. That's all a scam. They just steal your money. When they need it, good luck trying to get it. They'll fight tooth and nail just to get your money.
Suspense before the Boxer girls march out from the back with sparklers and giant champagne magnums while the entire club is forced to stop and stare at whichever table is doing the spending.
There's certain parades that only certain people who are big spenders of the club can get. So then when I have girls out, I have a guy who's got like that $100,000 tab, and he gets the 7K. I forget what the package is called, but he gets the 7K parade. Entire club gets shut down. Literally all eyes are on them. They shine all the lights on the thing.
The biggest single table he's ever seen hits $200,000 in a night, and the people spending it were a group of crypto kids who got lucky on a meme coin a week earlier.
Those crypto kids have no concept of money. Most of those guys, what they did was they bet on Fartcoin before Fartcoin went crazy, and they became, in literally a matter of like 5 days, became 100 millionaires.
That is the definition of new money.
What?
Making generational wealth from a Fartcoin because you were right on the Discord or Telegram server at the time. Nate also completely agrees with Sneako's benchmark.
So if you don't have money like that, where $10,000 is gonna put a dent in your account, don't come to Miami. It's not worth it.
But the whole point is how this place has
I'm never going to
itself
Miami
to
then.
be aspirational.
Fuck
Or as
that.
Sneako and so many
Barely got
others told us,
$100
the
in my
new
name.
Los Angeles. Or at least Los Angeles before that facade broke down and aspiring entertainers ended up in Skid Row. Miami doesn't have a Skid Row yet, but there's an army of younger people trying to fake it until they make it by renting supercars, running up debts, and pushing their lives into dangerous territory. And it's the same culture that's turned Miami into the OnlyFans capital of the world, for both the creators
Only
and
hoes.
the subscribers. You see, Miami has more registered OnlyFans creators per
Only
capita
hoes.
than any other large American city, with roughly 1,110 accounts per 100,000 residents, compared to around 617 in Las Vegas in second place.
Well, Miami has earned a new title, and it is quite the scandalous one. The Magic City has been crowned the OnlyFans capital of the country.
Well, a new study found that most of the moms on OnlyFans are right here in Miami.
Miami is also in the global top 5 for total money spent on the platform, with roughly $17 billion flowing out of Miami subscriber accounts in 2025 alone. Sophie Rain is based in Miami. Black China started her career as a stripper in Miami before transitioning onto the platform. Even people like Mia Khalifa got their career starts here. The Bob House is a mansion in Miami where OnlyFans creators live together, producing content around the clock. They later upgraded to a $100,000 a month penthouse in Brickell dubbed the Gen Z Playboy Mansion. Well, this OnlyFans creator thinks it has a lot to do with the city's aesthetic.
So I think with the people in Miami already working in music videos, already working in commercials, in bikini shoots, and all of these things that show off skin, I think it's not really hard to just go from one thing to another.
Sneako's friend Sonny Faz explained how this modern sex industry looks completely different from a few years ago.
Over 70% of the money is made through the chatting. Like, it's not through the $5 subscription like most people think. It's through guys trying to build an emotional relationship with the chick. And like literally, they think they're talking to her, and they're not. They're never talking to her.
Behind every successful girl on the platform, there are so often powerful unseen men taking a cut of the profits.
Some of the biggest people, like, they'll start dating a girl, and then it'll just be bikini pictures, and then they're now having steak breaks. Like, that's the stuff.
This is what we found when we made our last video on OnlyFans. Sophie Rain claims to have grossed over $100 million on the platform. Yet, she didn't post explicit content for most of her career. One single subscriber, a man called Charlie, who she says has a wife and kids, has paid her around $7 million, mostly for messages.
Shout out to Charlie.
Shout out to Charlie.
But obviously, not everyone is a part of the super rich class and can afford to pay Miami's huge bills. In fact, almost everyone is in debt. Florida has
Everyone in
the
debt
highest
in
household
Florida.
to debt
Okay,
income ratios in the country. Auto loan defaults across South Florida have been climbing for years, especially on all the high-end leases you see, so the Lamborghinis, the G-Wagons, the Range Rovers dotted around the streets. Even the wealthier residents are spending so far above what they bring in that they're effectively living one bad quarter away from the same edge as everyone else. Miami is what lifestyle inflation
next
looks
thing
like
we
at
need
scale,
is another
and it's a
pandemic
warning
and
sign of what's to
Florida's
come elsewhere.
done.
A city where the baseline has been skyrocketed unrealistically high to meet an unrealistic environment with unrealistic costs that can't be sustained. The gap gets papered over with credit, trust funds, and crypto bears. You live fast and run out of money young and hope to get a lucky break just before you plunge off the precipice. You start noticing that everyone's flocking here for the opportunity, staying for the lifestyle, and somewhere along the way, the line between the two disappears. Blurring the lines has been the city's strong suit since the start. Go back to the late 70s, and the Colombian cartels needed somewhere to put billions of dollars a year in physical cash. So Miami banks were eager to help. By the early 80s, the local Federal Reserve branch was sitting on a bigger cash surplus than any other branch in the country combined. Because there was so much drug money flowing through the system. That last prediction is as valid now as it was then.
Fucking commercial got me. Unhinged,
The moment I saw Relay and what it was capable of is the moment that I knew it was something good. I mean, a lot of words come to mind, but
drug money flowing through the system. That last prediction is as valid now as it was then, as money was cleaned up and poured into the condos and hotels, which formed the first generation of the skyline you see today. And it never really stopped. After the 2008 financial crisis, one of the shell companies were buying Miami homes for over $100 million a week, mostly in cash with no names attached. When the Treasury finally stepped in and forced these companies to reveal who was behind them, the anonymous buying mysteriously dropped by 70% overnight. A lot of that was foreign money, South American oil executives laundering stolen cash, whilst the elites fleeing collapsing economies, crime families parking capital offshore, or Russians swerving sanctions and relocating from Europe or Dubai. Last year, a 74-year-old Miami realtor pleaded guilty to selling and laundering luxury condos in the Bal Harbour and Ventura districts on behalf of two sanctioned Russian oligarchs. Miami's realtors and developers are often in the news for fraud and financial crime, with fraud felony rates amongst the highest in the US.
Police say Priscilla Marie Contreras, Yordani Carrias Diaz, and Dinosaur Bravo are pretending to be realtors and homeowners.
My two men are behind bars tonight. They're accused of running what the Miami-Dade State Attorney's Office calls a sophisticated scheme defrauding a Miami Beach condo, its owners, and board members.
Long before the drug years, Miami was where the rich from North America went to lose money on land. In the 1920s, a real estate bubble inflated by speculative developers selling underwater swampland to retirees collapsed so spectacularly that the entire state's economy went into recession years before the rest of America followed into the Great Depression. Cole Fisher, the man who built Miami Beach, sold lots that didn't exist to investors who never visited it. So the entire Florida land boom that followed was structurally a Ponzi scheme. And that reputation followed Miami until now. The savings and loan scandals in the 1980s, mostly in South Florida. The practice of aggressively selling worthless stocks to vulnerable people, also South Florida. The mortgage fraud of the 2000s, a good portion in Miami and Florida. And then, of course, Miami made itself the natural home for crypto, NFTs, meme coins, and whatever else, because the people pushing them knew the local culture would eat it all up. Several of the most notorious illegal ICOs and crypto investment schemes are traced back to Miami. It's the same story in the city's biggest new luxury development. This was supposed to be the most luxurious apartment complex ever built. A 66-story tower called the Aston Martin Residences. Yes, that's an apartment block branded by the British luxury car maker. It's a billion-dollar project and the tallest all-residential tower on the East Coast. It was sold as coming with a private marina, a helipad, exclusive beach club access, the full works for Miami's new money class. The top penthouse alone sold for $59 million. By the time the building opened in 2024, it was already 99% pre-sold. And of course, the promotional materials looked spectacular. But not long down the line, it became a gluttonous monument to Miami's fakeness. The issues with it are nearly endless. The helipad was never built. The beach club access hasn't come to fruition. The building, according to a lawsuit, is literally falling apart. Concrete is spalling off the balconies and dropping onto the streets below. Then there's the steel reinforcement itself, and even the absolute basics like functioning elevators.
Now at 6, developers of downtown Miami's Aston Martin residences face their second lawsuit in 4 months. Residents say they see concrete balconies crumbling, their seawall corroding, and claim it will cost millions to fix it. They blame the builder.
Basically, it's just turned out to be terrible, which is even more painful if you invested millions into the building. And this isn't just a case of negligence, it's all allegedly wrapped up in a sophisticated scam, or what the lawsuit calls an immense shell game, using a network of companies to siphon millions out of the building's finances. This is what happens when something's image falls completely out of sync with the substance underneath it. This has happened with almost every object that surrounds us. A banana isn't a banana. Not really, it's just a copy of a banana that you've never even seen, felt, or understood at all. Today, a photograph is rarely by definition a photograph, but rather a manipulated image that exists in near infinite degrees of authenticity. If you live somewhere like Miami, your life doesn't resemble the life of any of your ancestors. The substance and purpose behind it were copied into oblivion and literally don't exist anymore. Miami shows you what happens when an entire place becomes disconnected from reality. You start with a real genuine thing, in this case a muddy swamp with some promise. The railroad was extending itself down south, and it didn't take a genius to work out this tropical coastline was valuable. Then the constructed image began to distort what lies beneath it. At first it was pretty reasonable, supply and demand economics driven by people who wanted to live in a warmer climate. But Miami by the 1980s had created a compelling exportable image with its neon lighting and colourful suits. The Miami Vice aesthetic that made its way around the world. The glamorous appearance began to take over a more complicated reality dominated by gangs and scammers. In this respect, Miami was precisely like Dubai, a place manifested into reality through the pure power of greed and human willpower. You end up with a simulation of a real place with imported palm trees, sand, broken buildings that cost millions of standards, lacking substance, not underpinned by anything real or honest, where the people and population becomes fake, superficial, materialistic. The French philosopher Baudrillard called this the simulacrum, which was inspired directly by America. The US makes the simulacrum inevitable as it has little ancient human history, or in Miami's case, zero history spanning back longer than about 75 years. That's plagued the city over time, and the local government knows it. Around 2020, the former mayor Francis Suarez tried to reboot the city's image. He launched a cryptocurrency called Miami Coin, which lost 95% of its value almost immediately in what turned out to be a pretty absurd stunt for making the city look financially cleaner. He and the mayors kept using phrases like,
"How do you scratch a Virginia lottery scratcher?"
I don't, because I'm smart. I'm smart.
Turned out to be a pretty absurd stunt for making the city look financially cleaner. He and the mayors kept using phrases like business-friendly regulatory environment. What that means is, first off, Florida charges zero state income tax, so a $50 million earner moving down from New York saves around $5 million a year just on that line. Then there's the homestead exemption, which means once you buy a house and live in it, no creditor can ever touch it. This is why O.J. Simpson moved to Florida the moment he lost his civil case. There's no estate tax either, and amazing trust laws that let you lock up wealth for 360 years, and a state financial regulator that's known for turning a blind eye. On top of all of that, recent mayors added a fintech regulatory sandbox that lets crypto firms operate without the usual licenses, as well as reforms that make it harder to sue Florida's businesses. And that's why you see offices from the likes of Citadel, one of the biggest hedge funds on the planet, and Blackstone, who are buying up properties all across the world, as well as Goldman Sachs, Starwood, and so many others. Sam Bankman-Fried's platform FTX opened up an office here before it imploded, and he was sentenced to 25 years and ordered to forfeit an astonishing $11 billion. The very factors that made Miami a destination for cartel money are now being marketed to Fortune 500 companies as the top reason to relocate. As the wealth concentration snowballs, the gap between the richest and the poorest has widened to a gaping chasm, even by American standards. The bottom 20% of workers in Miami earn an average of about $10,000 a year. The top 5% earn over $500,000. The median net worth for white families in the city is around $107,000. For American-born black families, it's $3,700. Nearly 1 in 5 people in Miami live below the poverty line, and over the years, thousands of residents were relocated to make room for a highway interchange, and the poorest parts of the city were displaced into the hills away from the glamorous seafront. We visited one called Overtown, right next to downtown and Brickell, and most who visit Miami for a holiday have never even heard of it. It used to attract some of the biggest names on the jazz and soul circuit, hosting iconic gigs by James Brown, Ella Fitzgerald, and Ray Charles. Today, right next to the fancy Brickell and downtown area, it has some of the highest violent crime rates in the entire state.
So developing here at noon, a woman in the hospital. She was stabbed several times.
It happened last night in Miami's Overtown neighborhood.
Man is fighting to stay alive in the hospital after a shooting in the Overtown neighborhood of Miami.
Man is fighting to stay alive in the hospital after a shooting in the Overtown neighborhood of Miami.
A third and final boy taken into custody, charged as an adult for his alleged role in the of a 12-year-old girl in an Overtown community garden last June.
We literally tried to film there and got threatened and had to leave.
We're just doing like in Europe.
No good.
Alright, yeah, we'll get out of here. Alright.
Another of Miami's most notorious districts is Liberty City. People often assume Liberty City from GTA's basement, but that's purely a coincidence. While Liberty City has cleaned itself up over recent years, it's a former drug trafficking hotspot, and its violent crime rate remains more than double the national average. An OG former shot caller who grew up during the cartel era and served 21 years in prison described what this world looked like from the inside.
I'm born into the game out of violence. That's the first language in Miami, violence.
If Miami homicide saw that it was over some drugs, they would say, just chalk it up.
Let's
move on.
Part of the war, because it was going on so many,
people dying every day.
Miami's intense wealth segregation, with the rich on the seafront and the poor in the inner city, might actually one day be an ironic twist of fate. Because the city itself sits on a gigantic base of porous limestone, meaning the ground beneath it works like a sponge. You can't build a seawall against it because the water percolates through the rock itself. In Miami, sea levels have risen about 6 inches in places since 2000, and the city's average elevation is 6 feet. There's a time of year called king tide when the tides are at their highest, and water spills through the streets. It's not really what you envision when you think of Miami. The inland neighborhoods and the higher grounds that don't flood are where the poor were pushed to by decades of development. But now that the expensive parts of the city are starting to quite literally go under, the high ground is suddenly very valuable. So they're doing everything they can to buy it. And eventually, it'll just be another wave after wave of gentrification like Miami has already seen in places like Wynwood. A place that was once the ghetto like Overtown just a few years ago, that has become yet another place for endless condos and overpriced coffees. And the risk here really is imminent, and yet nobody wants to talk about it. In June 2021, a 12-story beachfront condo in Surfside, a suburb just north of Miami Beach, collapsed in the middle of the night and killed 98 people. Investigations found the building had been structurally deteriorating for years while maintenance was repeatedly deferred. Since then, Florida's homeowner insurance costs have roughly tripled to an average of $6,000 a year, more than 3 times the national average, and insurers have started pulling out of the state altogether. But the construction never slows down. There are cranes all over the downtown area, and almost all of them are being operated by people who live in the neighborhoods we just walked through, miles inland from the buildings they're putting up. At over 60%, the majority of the construction workforce here was born outside the US, by far the highest percentage of any metropolitan area in the US. And
engineered to help support your bottom line. GM Freight.
I did not expect wraparound sunglasses to look this good, but the Lakeview for Wonders are actually so comfortable.
Shut up.
The US. And meeting demand amid the influx of millionaires from around the world is grueling work. The local newspaper, the Miami Herald, spoke to a group of them about working conditions last year. A 64-year-old Colombian painter described spending 20 years on scaffolding in dangerous heat without a harness, where he'd actually lost 2 colleagues to fatal falls. Workers then described routine wage theft, with contractors owing them thousands and simply refusing to pay. And Florida doesn't even have a state agency to handle this.
Wage theft costs Americans more than any other type of theft. Because Florida has no state agency handling unpaid wages, you can fight your case in civil court.
So if you're owed money, your only option is to take your employer to court yourself.
My family here was affected, my family back in Guatemala was affected, and they would ask why I couldn't send money and why at the time we couldn't make ends meet. He's laughing in the face of authority, he's laughing in the face of law.
It is in many respects the US equivalent of the Dubai employment model, with one redeeming caveat that in Miami you can technically leave your job and nobody confiscates your passport at least. But being an undocumented migrant means you can't complain without risking deportation. And every contractor in this city knows that. So the end result of indentured servitude is pretty consistent. We noticed how the city has adapted to its large migrant population, given that even adverts are completely in Spanish with no English translation. When it's time to walk away from Miami, you leave with an image of a gleaming city built on imported labor, where people live in conditions visitors will never see, marketed as the future and sinking into the ground while everyone pretends that day will never come. And that's the very thing about Miami that makes it different from anywhere else. It's not fair to say that it's failing. It's seemingly very clean, very safe, and well organized. It's not completely falling apart at the seams like places like Los Angeles. And it's not really a stereotypical dystopian vision. It bucks the trend of what we might imagine one to be. It's a vision that's slowly sneaking up on us. It's a vision of intoxicating excess that cannot be sustained. There's no rubble, no air raid sirens, no brutal executions in broad daylight. Miami's version is just softer, wrapped in sunshine and palm trees, and a very convincing pitch that this is what winning looks like. And that pitch is spreading. Every major American city is trying to become like this right now. They're offering tax incentives and asking AI companies to come in and build massive data centers next to people's houses. They're deregulating to pump more and more money into local economies, but it ultimately lines the pockets of a few. Cities all over the world are destroying themselves in pursuit of what politicians...
I mean, really, it is my own fault for having any expectation that these people could be normal. Hi, my name is Sydney. Welcome back to hell. This is my second time filming this video because your dumb queen of the dumb ship of dumbness did not turn on her microphone when she recorded the first time. So now I am hot and I am angry and it's infinity degrees outside. I honestly just want to stand in the corner and scream. Okay, I'm back now. Now, baby birds, we must once again board the Hell Gondola as we sail down towards the island of Hollywood weirdos, because they really are just the gift that keeps on giving. Particularly this one. As I am sure many of you are aware, this specimen is called Cynthia Erivo, and we've actually talked about her on this channel before, mostly due to her odd relationship with fellow celebrity Ariana Grande.
We swore we were not going to do this. This is the thing that got us last time. Yes.
We can't do it again.
I can't do this.
We can't do it again.
This was the thing that cracked us like an egg.
They were asked to tell each other
super cringe
what they love about the other person. So, as many of you likely know, Erivo really popped up meaningfully on everyone's radar after starring in both Wicked films and behaving like a lunatic person during their press tours. But just very recently, she was in the news again, reminding everyone how insufferable she is after doing an interview with Variety magazine, wherein she claims people dislike and criticize her because she is black. And
it's not because you're black, because you look like a damn demon. You look like a demon. Don't give a fuck what color you are. You look like a demon.
Hey, buddy.
Don't give a fuck what color you are. You look like a demon. So does the other chick. They both look like demons.
And queer. And a woman. Lots of intersectional boxes that we're ticking here. It couldn't possibly be a result of bizarre interactions like this.
Have a really truthful friendship and a beautiful sistership that continues to grow and grow even through this press tour. Something's bothering her. She's gonna fix something. I know. She's getting the fixing itch that Cynthia Erivo gets. Oh, thank you.
For this,
you have been the light of the day. You are such a gift.
You brought such light into the room. Thank you very much.
We appreciate
you.
Or even this.
If you had to describe each other's aura, what color would it be?
That's a nice question. An aura.
Yellow.
For me?
Sunshine. Yeah.
Oh, I see like a ciel bleu. You know, like aqua.
Wow,
and like,
I'm so moved by that response. No, kids, the reason that Cynthia Erivo makes people uncomfortable is because she has a tendency to be weird and creepy and is completely obsessed with her own sexuality and skin color. And all of this, just by the way, is markedly obvious to everybody except her, it seems. What's interesting is that within the last week or so, people have been talking about her antics again after an incident that happened at the Supergirl premiere in New York on June 22nd. The actor called Superman, David Corenswet, stepped in to push away a photographer who barely touched Millie Alcock's back. This footage obviously popped off online with people celebrating his actions while comparing this to the 2025 incident that took place in Singapore, where a man jumped over a barricade and grabbed Ariana Grande. Erivo went full SWAT mode, jumping forward to protect Grande from the man and sort of protecting her with her own body, which brought on a lot of criticism online. And I will just reiterate that I don't think there was anything wrong with what happened here. For context here, the criticism around this wasn't because she had protected her friend, it was because the two had been acting like insane people for months. Most of Erivo's fans even now say that this negative response to Erivo's actions was based on misogyny and racism, and the only reason that people are celebrating Mr. Superman's behavior is because he's a man. Yeah, that's exactly what it's not. Personally, not that any of you asked me for my opinion, but I think that he massively overreacted in his effort to get his own real-life Superman moment, and what the photographer did was really quite innocuous. So there's that.
So when David Corenswet helped Millie Alcock at the premiere with that photographer, that was hot and sexy.
But when Cynthia Erivo did the same thing for Ariana,
and none of it was hot, Cynthia. It was all cringe
for weeks.
It's all cringe. All of it's cringe.
Notice it.
Believe it or not, and I know that most of you are going to fall into the belief camp over here.
I don't believe shit.
This also seems to be the way that Cynthia Erivo interprets the world around her. All the time. Having this much baggage, she really should seek some help. Legal help, more specifically. And it's really quite sad. If only she'd known about the sponsor of today's video, Morgan & Morgan. If you, or someone you love, someone you care about, gets seriously hurt in an accident, that injury could change. But our whole mission was to work, don't even require any. So if you are in need of a law firm that is ready to work, like I mentioned, Erivo sat down with Variety magazine for an interview about surviving the set of Wicked. Okay. Speaking about the Singapore incident, she said that she felt her humanity had been bastardized, whatever that means, and when asked about the public commentary surrounding this incident, Erivo said that we really need to come to terms with the insidious nature of how we view black women. She said, I'm sure people will read this and think, oh, for goodness sake, it's not about that. But it is, because that's what was being made fun of. It was my physique, it was my shape, it was the fact that I was bald. It was about what I looked like. And because of that, there was this assumption that I was bigger than my co-star, and so I had to be controlling or protecting, and that was my role. I would hazard a guess that it would not have been the same had it been the other way around. What's kind of funny is that I legitimately thought that Cynthia Erivo was so much bigger than Ariana Grande, but then I came to find out that's because she wears giant platform heels all of the time. But they are basically the same size. I don't think that assumption is wholly my fault when you're over here wearing small stilts as footwear. Jokes aside, because Cynthia Erivo doesn't like it when we joke about her, the criticism that's being twisted into racial commentary is nowhere near surprising, but it is annoying. And it is actually something that Cynthia Erivo has done for basically years at this point. Attributed criticism thrown in her direction to some racist, anti-LGBTQIAXYZ attack on her, when in actuality, and for good reason, she just generally weirds people out. She should probably stop doing that. During the press tours, people were making fun of how both she and Grande dressed and spoke and behaved because it was objectively weird. They gave off uncanny valley vibes at all times. The pair were constantly engaged in strange and weepy interviews. They also both described filming these movies like it was akin to being waterboarded at Guantanamo Bay. The before and after fan edit videos that people made certainly didn't make this look any better, and it all became somewhat of a meme. The crying, the cartoonishly long nails, the nauseating soft speech patterns, the outfits.
I used this crazy realization when everyone's talking. What? I've been listening to you for so long. Cynthia. All the voices I've listened to. We need to sit here and do this together. It's really wonderful.
Listen, I can absolutely appreciate a sentimental moment, and guess what? I am the queen of sentimentality, okay? I'm a Cancer. I cry all the time. But this is too much. This is what I imagine happens in those cry closets that were put on university campuses. Even Oscar voters were put off by Erivo and Grande. Some of you may recall that the Academy Awards voters said that the women creeped out a lot of people during the Wicked press tours, which is why they were effectively passed over for the award. When asked if the Singapore incident discouraged her from campaigning for an Oscar, Erivo said yes, due to the aforementioned humanity bastardizing and the mischaracterization of how she looks. Mischaracterization? Ariana Grande tried to shoo away a helicopter that was flying overhead while you were speaking. If you two touched each other or spent any more time together, you would probably morph into one weird Cronenberg monster. Before I forget, let's also not forget Erivo's weird lies about her fellow co-star Jonathan Bailey. Dude, what is this photo? Why did I pick this one? For reasons inexplicable to the rest of us, apparently, she has kept lying about how she met him. On multiple occasions, she claimed that they were classmates at the Royal Academy of Dramatic Arts, a prestigious theatre school in the UK. But Bailey didn't attend that school. He didn't attend any performing arts school, actually. The pair met on the set of Wicked, and he has had to correct her on this fact. In an interview with The Hollywood Reporter, Erivo claims that they have such a close bond that she feels as though she's known him forever, so she keeps thinking that they went to school together.
Demons know one another?
Yeah, okay, that's definitely what it is. This could just be me, and I am prepared for it to just be me, but I also think this is weird, creepy behavior. I'm sorry. I think it is exceptionally strange to act like you know somebody, or to act like you've met somebody in some context that you haven't, and then keep telling people that. People have done this to me, where they've been like, oh, I know Sydney, and we're friends, and I've met them once, and talked to them once, and interacted with them for 5 seconds, and I think that's weird. Don't do that to people.
That's weird,
Who does this? Especially when the other person is setting the record straight in public. If this were me, I would just die from embarrassment. Don't even put me in the coffin. I'm already there. Anyway, after reading an ungodly amount of interviews and listening to her interviews, I have decided that Cynthia Erivo is a very fragile individual who is, like I mentioned, completely obsessed with her own skin color and sexuality. In 2022, she came out as bisexual and queer, and since then, she has basically baked it into everything she does and says. You know how there's that joke about straight people needing to be more interesting and thus calling themselves queer? Yeah. I'm sorry that being attracted to both sexes was not interesting enough for you. During an acceptance award speech in 2024, Erivo said, "As I stand here in front of you, black, bald-headed, pierced, and queer, I can say I know a thing or two about being the other." She goes on to say later, "Claiming my queerness in public, and particularly in the public eye, has meant taking a risk in order to claim my freedom." Does anybody know what this means? Does Cynthia Erivo know what this means?
Sounds weird.
Probably not. She took this path again in March 2025 when she used her GLAAD acceptance speech to lecture people about using they/them pronouns.
It isn't
Who gives a fuck?
None of it is.
Nobody cares.
Waking up and choosing to be yourself. Proclaiming a space belongs to you when you don't feel welcomed. Teaching people on a daily basis how to address you, and dealing with the frustration of reteaching people a word that has been in the human vocabulary since the dawn of time. They, them.
She's done a series of interviews, of course, predictably, focusing on her being queer and relating that to everything in her life. But in November 2025, she gave one particularly illuminating interview to GQ magazine, where she said that because she's black and gay, everything she does will be political. The timing of this, just by the way, is interesting because this was just shortly after she'd performed as Jesus, like the big guy, in Jesus Christ Superstar, which of course was hugely controversial because she's a woman and she's black. And Jesus is decidedly not either.
When you list on apartments.com, renters will start coming out of the black market.
They won't.
This is the world's first protein that tastes completely and utterly like
nothing.
Welcome.
And Jesus is decidedly not either. I don't care how many black Santas you make or how many times Morgan Freeman gets cast as God. When she was first cast in the role in early 2025, a lot of Christians obviously perceived this as offensive and blasphemous, but photos from the actual performance looked really, really quite alarming. I saw someone actually called her demonic Kobe Bryant, and it made me laugh out loud. The thing is, her appearance isn't political because she herself is political in some way. It's because she's playing the role of a very important figure who is non-black and not a woman. If anyone made this political, it was her and her own ilk, which hilariously she basically admits to and acknowledges. She said in an interview with their magazine that she got almost no pushback generally about her quote-unquote identity, and that the sole exception was when it was announced that she, a black queer woman, would play the primary role in the concert performance of Jesus Christ Superstar. Being accused of blasphemy even made Erivo quote-unquote chuckle. She said, "You can't please everyone, but hopefully people will come to realize, oh, it's a musical, the gayest place on earth." Jeez Louise, man. I don't think this is helping your cause, lady. This entire interview is about how being queer and black is hard and limiting. It's more of the same, so I won't bore you with it. But this weird sensitivity around herself and her own existence seems to show up in absolutely everything she does. In October 2024, for example, Arrivo reacted with anger to a fan edit of the original Wicked poster.
Oh, God
For those
forbid.
who aren't familiar, Wicked actually started off as a stage production, and it's one that I have seen, and I remember it being pretty good. The original production poster, for those who haven't seen, shows Glinda in the white whispering in the ear of a smirking alphabet whose hat is pulled down over her eyes. The official film Wicked poster did something similar to this, but it did show both women's faces. So for Broadway fans, some of them were keen to see a version of this poster that looked more akin to the original, and one fan edited the new poster to look like the old poster. So,
and they freaked
on
out
Instagram,
over that
Arrivo
shit.
shared the altered poster and wrote,
And
"This is the
them.
wildest, most offensive thing I have seen, equal to that awful AI of us fighting. None of this is funny, none of it is cute, it degrades me, it degrades us." She added that she is a real-life human being who chose to look down the barrel of the camera at the viewer in this poster, and to edit her face and eyes erases her, and that is deeply hurtful.
Girl, what?
You know, where we went wrong as a society was not forcing theater kids into prison and making them prove their way out. I genuinely do not know how to explain to you how completely dramatic this person is. They're all like this, though. All the theater kids are like this, the thespians.
What are you thespians?
At this point, I want to build a gulag and fill it with thespians. About a month later, in November 2024, Arrivo did an interview with Variety again. Everybody loves Variety, where she said that her queer black identity in Wicked was a love letter to anyone who feels different. And it's basically like this every single time she opens her mouth, including, obviously, her recent comments about people being mean to her because she's black and bold and weird. Maybe people would think you're less weird if you didn't cry every time someone spoke to you. Despite how much Cynthia Erivo goes on about her own skin color and likes to shame other people for their racism, there's this weird feud that's taking place between Cynthia Erivo and Black Americans, where she's basically acting like she's better than them. And it's really funny. In 2013, Erivo responded to a fan on Twitter about singing, asking that people read her writing in a ghetto American accent, like a black ghetto American accent. Erivo also was seen retweeting sentiments framing Black Americans as jealous of Africans. Not only was there a lot of backlash in 2013, but these tweets also resurfaced again when Erivo played Harriet Tubman in the 2019 film Harriet. If you are a bit rusty on this part of American history, Harriet Tubman was a prominent abolitionist, which is a fun word to say, and a former slave who managed to escape her captors, going on to rescue 70 other slaves by guiding them along the Underground Railroad. So, in light of her sentiments, or previous sentiments, many were not happy with casting Erivo as such a prominent figure in Black American history, with some citing her disrespectful pattern of throwing shade towards Black Americans, while others just protested the fact that she's a Nigerian, or she's of Nigerian descent, and she should not be playing this role.
So there's race swapping within race swapping? The more you know.
Some people were saying that Nigerians own slaves.
Own slaves? Maybe they probably still do, honestly.
And that because of that, then this Nigerian person can then play an American slave because it's big no-no bad times. Erivo obviously dismissed all of this criticism, saying that the tweets were taken out of context and she never meant to speak negatively about anyone, and that she loves all black people. But there's still this pocket of Black Americans who are convinced that she hates them and are tired of foreigners getting cast for roles that should be going to Americans only. They are this close to understanding the problem with immigration. I do find it really quite ironic how many people had an issue with Cynthia Erivo playing the role of Harriet Tubman when she's not a Black American, and because she's not a Black American, but have absolutely no qualms with her playing Dracula, which is a story about white European people. Because Erivo's latest theatrical performance, a one-woman adaptation of Bram Stoker's Dracula, is quite the feat of narcissism.
I'm sorry, why is it?
The beginning of the year, towards the beginning of the year,
look like
and
a
the
dude?
show featured Erivo playing 23 different roles, filling a 2-hour performance with 23,000
Them shoulders and them hips don't add up to a woman.
I would ask if she's okay, but I'm not even sure if she
I don't think that's a woman.
Dracula last night, starring Cynthia
The
Erivo, and I wanted to
shoulders?
give myself a day to kind of cool off and
And
see
hips.
if my
Like that.
response would have
Hips.
changed. But I still think
Shoulders.
it was really,
Female.
really bad.
Shoulders.
And I
Male.
wanted it to be good. I wanted to be impressed.
And the clavicle bone.
And Cynthia
You can't
is a great
fucking-
actor.
you
This
can't
didn't really allow
alter
her to
that
show
shit,
that.
like-
The script is so dense. It's like a never end. It's a novel. It's not even adaptation. It's just her reading the book basically on stage.
Are we really acting like it's shocking that this wasn't terribly good? You mean to tell me that the one-woman show with 23 roles who is basically reading Bram Stoker's Dracula, you mean to tell me that's not good and that's surprising to you? What is happening? In this clip, I genuinely feel like the life has been sucked out of her. Good grief. I also found one interview where a journalist asked her how she's dealing with the criticism that she doesn't know her lines, because that was one of the major things that people were coming at her about over the show, and you can just see how defensive she gets answering
Oh,
this.
yeah.
And there were some comments online during the previews that you were still learning some of your lines. How do you deal with those comments? Whilst also making sure...
I'm not paying attention to any of them, because no one knows the experience except for me. So, and unless everyone is on the stage with me
Theater
doing 20,000
kids
lines,
can remember a
I don't
whole
know
book
what
and
their
recite
experience
it
is. So, for
easily.
me, I was still learning the lines, and I was still figuring it out. But bit by bit, it's become something that's a part of me, and everyone's learning process is very, very different.
But then again,
How do you
theater
manage to
kids
block all
don't
of
do
that
the
out? I just don't pay
one-person
attention.
show for 16 different
It's not
people.
for me. I have a job to do, and I want to do it as well as I can, and I want to do it with all my heart. So I don't let that take the energy that I should be spending on the stage.
So it seems that there is actually ample criticism around Cynthia Erivo and all of her work. And it's not really this big clan pylon that I'm sure she thinks that she's experiencing.
Nah,
but it
nobody
is
cares.
so much easier to just make the claim that everybody else is a bigoted, meanie person, rather than acknowledge that you might be doing something wrong and maybe people just don't like you. Unfortunately, proclaiming that you're the victim of societal racism makes you even more nauseating for a lot of people, leading to an even worse public perception. And honestly, it sort of feels like a subtle way of begging people to watch your movies and performances. After all, don't you want to prove that you're not a racist, Simon? Ultimately, Cynthia Erivo is not too dissimilar from other celebrities around her, but what does make her different is how she relies so much on victimhood rather than just taking responsibility for her behavior. The Wiccan stuff was weird, so much of what she's done since then has been weird, much of her commentary around her sex and skin color and other bits and pieces have been very weird, and there's just something about her that's quite alienating. And in the end, this is why people by and large are turned off by this person. Not because of how she looks or who she's attracted to, but because of how she behaves and the way that she carries herself and the things that she gets mixed up in. And honestly, hiding behind a bunch of progressive labels is never really going to go over too well, especially now with all of the woke progressivism falling by the wayside. And so the more that Cynthia Erivo engages with
no
this,
one wants
the
Storm
more,
played by her.
unfortunately, I think that people are not going to like her. Now, on that
She's talking about playing Storm in the X-Men? No.
What do you all
No.
think? Do you think that
I mean,
Cynthia
she's got
Erivo
the
is
look,
a weirdo?
the hair and
She does
everything.
and says lots of weird stuff
From
that
the old
quite
Aurora
uncomfortable?
Monroe.
Do you think that she's actually just
The
quite
white mohawk,
misunderstood and
yeah.
she's just a weird
But
lesbian and that's perfectly fine? Are you somewhere in
she's
the middle where you can
cringe.
see why people don't?
It's cringe.
Our company mission is quite simple. Be
Inmates are armed with weapons. North Carolina Regional Jail. Oh shit.
This stop in 7. Looking at footage here of a situation unfolding in North Carolina. We have inmates that are armed that took guards hostage. This Bertie Martin Regional Jail in North Carolina in Martin County. This started at 5 a.m. this morning. The inmates taking over the facility while there was only 3 guards. 88 inmates, 3 guards. One of the guards flipped out and escaped. The other 2 were taken hostage at 9:30 this morning. They say that the officers were able to negotiate the release of 18 inmates and the 2 guards. You still have a bunch of guys in there that are acting unruly and acting like they own the place now, even though they can't get out, they can't go nowhere. It's an ongoing negotiation process between police and some of the inmates, but it's pretty clear that group wanted to initiate this, and you don't initiate it for nothing. But they're demanding things. Of course, some are wanting released. It's never going to happen.
Yeah.
Right now, they say the top priority is the safety of the staff, the inmates, and the surrounding community. Say there's no threat because these guys can't get out. They're surrounded and they're stuck inside the building. An ongoing fluid situation, and if any more were to escape, you never know what could happen. I'd say highly unlikely at this point. If anyone walks out of that building, they're going to be seen, they're going to be targeted and taken down. It is an ongoing situation, so wanted to update.
Bam.
Oh, well. A new insane theory, now that all the other theories have long passed any conceivable reason to believe. Now we're back on maybe the dumbest theory, perhaps even more insane, than the B cult, the exploding mic, which of course didn't happen. There's literally no evidence of it. It's just people grasping at straws. It's half people enjoying it for entertainment. It's half people who are actually stupid. It has been insane to watch. New photos of Charlie's body came out. Of course, do not support this theory, but they say it does, even though it clearly doesn't. The whole thing has been just gross and humiliating for the people that are profiting after spreading these lies. They know they're lies.
Yeah,
but Tyler Robinson also got, sorry for the mini rant there, some horrible news on Friday. We're going to talk about that. Just a quick reminder, if you're a YouTube-only viewer, we are interviewing Tobuscus, Toby Turner. He released that song, recording live, so you don't miss our live streams. Hopefully you'll be there. Nothing off limits, side.
Charlie Kirk,
like, we can ask whatever he wants. If you have questions, let me know.
But keeps death penalty on the
Judge
table.
for Charlie Kirk case holds prosecutor in contempt. We're talking to TMZ, but held the death penalty still on the table. His defense team, Tyler Robinson's defense team, was desperately trying to get it off the table any way, shape, or form. So they tried to say, well,
you take a life, we
the
take a life.
prosecutor debunked a lie, so
you
we have to remove this. There be, I don't think, any precedent whatsoever that would support this. I don't think. I don't think that. I mean, I can't believe they thought this was going to work. I can't believe they thought, you know, I guess, I don't know. You know, that's one of the weirdest things I've ever imagined. That they would be like, oh, well, I guess we'll just not do any death penalty because somebody talked to a reporter. I don't know.
Fuck that.
The defense's contempt motion stemmed from Commerce Prosecutor Christopher Ballard, also a spokesperson for the Utah Attorney's Office, made tell us this spring about inconclusive ballistics results mentioned in the defense filing. This also sparked an insane number of, how do you say, like, conspiracy theories as well, because, you know, the bullet fragmented, so people said, well, bullets never fragment, that's crazy talk. That's crazy talk, that would never happen, bullets would never fragment. You know, that just proves that there were multiple shooters, or that there was, I mean, it was just some of the most insane nonsense ever. I'm just done with these ghouls. But the death penalty still on the table, thankfully. Now, these other images that were released, it's a blurry photo with a blood smear on it. The people who believe a lapel mic explosion happened are dumb. There is no mark on the body at all where the microphone even came from. It's very clearly blood because it was everywhere. They probably cleaned it off his body so they could put the paddles on him, and there was some left there. Like, it's very obvious that's what it is, but people are like, oh my god, this proves everything. And by the way, here's the guy that took the photo debunking it.
Yeah, so Billy and I saw the photos. Charles showed us the photos that he did take.
after Charlie was shot.
Yep.
And what we saw, there is nothing suspicious to be released to the public. And do you want to explain kind of why you don't want the photo that we saw to be released?
Well, I don't want that one particular photo. I released all
You released everything,
that I did that day. I only didn't release one photo.
And it's that one.
And it's that one photo.
The one that we both saw.
That one that you guys saw. The reason why I didn't release that one photo is because you still can see, you see so much, there's not much there. It just, his thing carrying him into the car.
It's because you can see Charlie's
It's just
face.
because you can see his face, you can see blood coming out, you can see his body.
Yes.
And
it's too ghoulish.
I just didn't want to release that because, you know, it's all about principle and morals.
It's sad.
It's sad, and it's just like, there's nothing, it's not going to help with the investigation.
No,
I don't think it's going to help at all.
And I can say from seeing it, it's
because
you can see Charlie's face and he's not like awake. Like
he's not awake. And I released similar photo where you can see his arm hanging. You can see those. And again, I didn't release that photo again because
it's too ghoulish.
I didn't want to be adding more stuff. I mean, there was already plenty of videos. I mean, there's people here saying, "Oh, but the kids are already gonna see those photos. They're already seen the videos when they grew up." Well, but that's on you guys. You guys can do it and show those videos. I do not want to be part of that.
We saw the photos. I saw it. You saw the photo. It's just Charlie's face, but he looks like he's unconscious in it, and that's the photo that he was referring to. In my opinion, there's nothing in that photo that would change the narrative or add or help to the investigation. Would you be willing to let us have that photo or send it to people like Barron or Candace Owens to help with the investigation?
They're not investigating anything.
If you think it even would, but would you be willing to like let people that are like private people trying to investigate this have it?
Yeah. If they reach out to me,
Okay. And I think that was like one of the main questions was like, why doesn't he want to release the photo? But he said you're willing to.
I mean, we talked earlier about this. Like, if they come, like you guys, Candace or Baron Coleman, and they ask for the photo, I'm willing to provide that for you guys.
As long as you feel that they're trustworthy.
Yeah.
Fine, send it to me. I'll publish it. Because it doesn't prove any of this stuff. It doesn't prove
I heard about
anything.
It.
If the mic exploded, why does Charlie's autopsy say 1 bullet jacket fragment and 4 lead fragments were recovered? Well, it's because there was a bullet inside the mic. Oh, okay. Well, how did it shoot out of underneath his shirt, do a loop-de-loop, and come around into his neck? The Rode mic is so thin, I own it, you could not put a shell in there. I think I put them in storage, but it's only like a half-inch thick. You couldn't even put it in there. You couldn't put a 30-06 in there. Nothing about the microphone theory passes any level of sub-60 IQ test, and yet it is getting hundreds of thousands of likes on Twitter.
No harsh side effects like gas, bloating, cramping, or sudden urgency. Miralax, free your gut to free your mood.
What I loved about UVA was that the architecture school is a very tight-knit community within a larger.
It's on Twitter. This, by the way, also an interesting interview here.
All right, so everything that you have seen and spoken about today, on a scale of 1 to 10, how accurate do you think Candace Owens is on her assessment of Erica Kirk being a psychopath?
1. This guy's an expert, by the way.
That you have seen and spoken about today, on a scale of 1 to 10, how accurate do you think Candace Owens is on her assessment of Erica Kirk being a psychopath?
1. And I'm giving her 1 because I would never have the hubris to think that I am perfectly correct.
This is Andrew Bustamante.
There's room for me to be wrong on this.
CIA intelligence officer. Obviously, people are going to say, well, the CIA was in on it now. Because they debunked it.
What we've reviewed today and with what Candace has said and with the evidence that she pointed to.
Again, this is an intelligence expert. from, let's see, this is
CIA.
Everyday Spy on X. Covert intel officer. Psychology understands it.
She is fundamentally flawed. I would say to anybody subscribed to Candace Owens, you owe it to yourself to immediately unsubscribe from Candace Owens.
I've already. That much.
I've already done it.
Don't need to watch any video. You don't need to comment on it. You don't need to like it. You should do everything you can to save your engagement, to keep that kind of opinion from propagating. Everybody's entitled to an opinion.
But Candace Owens
But
is
everything
a
I've
retard.
seen is that was a malicious, intentionally malicious opinion, intended to do harm by twisting factual clips, videos, and statements from other people.
Candace Owens is a retard.
That is what is the worst
Fucking
part
dumb.
of our society. That's not saying Candace Owens is the worst part of our society, but it is saying that
She's
Candace
a
has to
big
decide for
contributor.
herself if she is going to amplify malicious and misinformation, or if she is going to dig deeper to find meaningful information. I am nobody compared to you, Candace, but that is bullshit, and you go to sleep at night knowing that you put this stuff out.
100%
How
agree.
can you
Based,
sleep like that? How can you sleep
based,
knowing you lie on a daily basis?
I should try to get this guy on the show. Everything she says is a lie, by the way.
Oh yeah, we know.
In almost in almost a year of investigating, Candace Owens has provided 0 pieces of evidence that will be used at trial.
Just this.
Just so we're clear. Not one.
Just keeps doing
0. 0 leads that the police asked her to forward to them.
No
0
evidence.
leads that his own defense attorneys called her an idiot.
I don't know.
Knowing that there's a better way.
So they must, the defense team must be in on it too.
She owes it to all of us to have more journalistic integrity when she puts out an opinion like that. That is.
Well, she's not a journalist. I don't know if she's ever even called herself that. To be fair, she just has no integrity.
A moral responsibility.
I want to say it's one thing to get it wrong,
but
it's another thing to know it's wrong and still say it.
Yeah, exactly. And repeat the wrong.
Anybody who has even one person listening to them, that based on the evidence that we reviewed today, that was poison from Candace Owens.
Everything has been poison from Candace Owens. And I know a good chunk of my viewers still believe her. That's fine. You're entitled to believe what you want. I'm not saying you can't. I wouldn't even go so far as to say don't watch her. But what I am going to do is use my platform to tell people the truth and not come on here and make up lies because they get boosted by Pakistani bot farms. That's not